That's pretty much the only reason why. Oh, by the way, also, for the sake of my name and my safety, I won't be repeating your comments out loud, because what I realized is, and this is so stupid, this is so obvious, when I say your comment out loud, which is something I don't have to do, when I do that, that's validation, and that's good, right? And that's us connecting. Well, pretend I'm doing it in my head, because that's what I'm doing. I am reading your comment. What I used to do was say the comments out loud, but I would say something like that out loud, and then somebody would clip it and make a video and say that that's what I said. And I'm like, it's not that way, but it's pretty easy to make it that way. So I'm going to use common sense, and I'm just going to read your comment in my head. I would love to have the freedom to just say it out loud, but my freedom is suppressed by other people who abuse my name. And it's just a clever way to abuse my freedoms, is what they're doing, is abusing my freedom. Like abusing my freedom of speech, because I would like to connect with you by saying your comment out loud. They abuse my freedom of speech by taking it and, using it to defame my name, which is just a way to assert power over me and tell me how to live my life and tell me how I am and am not allowed to use the tool, and giving me rules and then turning around and saying there are no rules. It's free, but it's not really free speech, because I can't repeat that without it having a massive detriment to my personal life when it's recorded and then sent to the police, because all I did was repeat a comment out loud without context, and then the people who see it on the other end don't take the time to investigate the context. So, or when they do, they get pissed at me instead of the person who committed a crime, because it's technically not a crime. And I've been putting too much thought into it. Just whatever. I guess we won't get to connect on that level, and that's just how it is. Can't give you that validation. Not that you're asking for it, but I like to connect with people that deeply. But I guess in American society, we don't want that right now. So I'm just going to have to follow the rules if I want to keep my job, aka my life. A little upset. I don't like being controlled. I don't think anybody does. Okay, Samantha, so here's a question for you, and here's an invitation towards a conversation. Based on what you were saying, so all countries start out maybe a little rough around the edges. When we think about America, we've only been around for a couple hundred years. To survive as a nation, what's our best next move if we want to remain America as it began and not become the form of a government that is ulterior to the one that we have right now, which, history hasn't necessarily had a government like we have in America, ever. Like, at least the history that we're familiar with. So therein lies my question is, do we feel this is good? And if not, where is the proof that other forms of it is better? Because, is this a failed experiment? Is our government system a failed experiment? What's your viewpoint on that? That goes out to all of you. I'm seeking to have an intellectual conversation with you guys. If you're willing to go that deep into it. It usually leaves me with not a lot of views because people want entertainment. But to me, becoming educated and learning more about how life works, that's entertaining. That's fun, is to really learn about how things work and not just, well, this is how I feel. So I care about how you feel, and I want to hear how you feel. I really do. I also want to engage you and invite you into an intellectual conversation that we can build one another up and learn more. And I'm working on the pride part. The pride is a defense. I'm working on that. I didn't find out until now, or until recently, how unattractive that is and how it really puts people off. And so, I reached a mastery level in my criteria, right? And the things that I'm good at, I got master level. But I look at other men, specifically, have to say it, who are at mastery level in their craft. And they get very cocky. much like I have gotten very cocky. And I say, well, I don't want to watch his content and I don't want to learn from him because I don't like his attitude. And I thought, wait, crap, I have that attitude too. So I'm working on that. And I'm learning from women. And it seems like no matter what I do, I'm always learning from women. And I'm like, I would like to learn from a man. But then I also think most of the men that I have learned from have not been American. I don't blame the system. I think to myself and say the country we built are men who separated from their lineage and disappeared into the woods for a couple hundred years. And maybe just getting back to our roots and, relearning certain parts of our past can help us to regain a chivalry and a manhood that is true to who we are, while also making sure that we are equal to women in ways that are healthy for everybody, right? How do we re-articulate our economy that we don't lose America, but we also gain those values of equality? And that isn't necessarily something that's ever been done. So, what we're doing here, at least I'd like to believe, is honorable. It's difficult, but it's honorable if we can find a way to get it done. But anybody who does it the first time, it's going to be a hell of a lot of mistakes. Censor what you need. I am censoring what I need. I am. Thank you. So there we go, right? I guess I'm doing it. I'm not alone. I also experience, I'm beginning to see with a lot of people who are alone in their own life, but they have people around them that they know they can't trust. They look at someone like me who has very few people around them, but they are core people that I can trust. And they say that I'm alone, but I'm not alone. So that's very important to understand that anyone who looks at someone who has less friends as someone who, because they have less friends than them, has no friends, I mean, that's projectional narcissism. So I have a couple of friends, but just like most people who are masters in their craft will say, hey, keep your circle small, and that's smart. I want to take it one step further and say, I mean, that would be nice, but maybe my circle's so small because I ventured off into the woods and learned a lot. But realistically, there's so much more to learn. And if I was the master, right, the master, not just a master in a craft, then I would know how to change the pipes in the house, not just fix the electricity. So I want to know how to build my house. I don't want to just know how to, fix the pipes, because the house I grew up in, my pop built the house for his family, with his wife's help, and then later on with the kids' help building it. I'm good at the process of refinement. So I'm really good at how do we refine the process we use to refine things. That in itself is a practice. Don't expect me to know how to build the house. I just know how to refine the process of how to build the house. A lot of people who are looking for their savior, they'll see a guy like me or a Donald Trump or a Nancy Pelosi or anybody, you name it, and say, well, I want that one person to have all of my answers. But the whole idea of America is us knowing how to work together to create answers, and not even just to have the answers, but to get that answer and then say, I'm grateful, but I'm not satisfied. I know that we can now progress this. We can take it even further. And how we do that is it takes a lot of people to work together to make that happen. And it's going to be people from two totally extremely different viewpoints as well. But to take 6 months of an experiment that has been going on, to say it's failed because of the last 6 months, let's take into account from the beginning of America whether or not it has failed. I can't do that. I want you to know, first off, I'm saying that might be a better way of finding that answer. I don't have it. And that's why people get annoyed with me. They're like, you're telling me that I'm wrong, but you can't tell me how to be right. I can't. That's just how it is, right? What is a typical parent? Sometimes we'll have parents that'll just tell us, not that I'm a parent, but it's I know what I'm talking about in this arena. So I can tell you That's wrong. But because I don't know you particularly as a person, I can't tell you what's going to be right for you. Because when it comes down to our mind, that is suggestivism. And I could influence you in that point, but I'd be leading you to a position where you'd be more like me. And I'm not really interested in that. I want to know who you are as you. That's individualism. And that's America, is where we have the freedom to practice our individualism. And my influence, if I impart that influence, even if you dislike me, you're going to hate me, right? You'll hate me, and that will influence your decision. That's going to happen regardless. But I would rather you hate me and figure it out yourself as an American, because that's the American way, than influence you in such a way where I give you something for free that if you don't understand it, it's going to hurt you. And I don't have the ability to evaluate whether or not, you're going to accept it. And what I have found out through that evaluation and through my life experience is it's better that I leave you without it than give it to you when it hurts you. Because we can't know we can't miss what we don't know. You don't give a baby a handgun. And I don't know who the babies are and who the babies aren't. And people will be like, well, I'm not one. And I'm like, oh, I don't know that. And I don't have the ability to evaluate it, right? I don't have enough information about you to evaluate whether or not you are mature enough to handle what I'm talking about, right? How do you know I'm mature enough to handle what you're talking about? We don't know. So I'd rather retract. And what you hear with my explanations and my excuses is an extreme level of guilt, because I do want to educate people. But I have also learned that I am apparently so poor at it, or just that there's so many people that disinterested in hearing it from me, that when I try, it only hurts people. And as I sit here, I realize nobody even asked me questions. So I hope this helps you understand how many expectations have been put on in my life to help people who definitely didn't need help. It was just narcissists finding a way to get me to do more work while I pay their taxes, do their work for them while I pay their taxes. It's their job to educate me. But I have been forced to educate myself and then expected to turn around and pay their bills on top of that. And I mean, some might consider that genius. I consider it fraud, and I'm disinterested in that. So I'm going to give just enough. And I hope anybody who respects their own human life will support and understand that I want to do just enough work and receive the appropriate amount of pay. And if I receive 10 cents an hour, then I now know the valuation of my place in the American economy. And if I'm only worth that much, then why am I in this country? Because I know that my life is worth way more than 10 cents an hour. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I guess if I'm not, then why the hell am I alive? But I'm pretty sure that I can earn more than 10 cents an hour with the things that I know. So I'll give it to whatever employer is going to pay the appropriate amount for, what I've learned. Best country and thank you for hearing me, because I know this is about Donald Trump. Also appreciate you hearing me emotionally. It means a lot. It does mean a lot more than you think. It's not narcissism. I've been this unheard, and it means a lot to me for those of you that are listening. So thanks. Best country in the world, not in Chloe, says Yerky. Sen says, how can we have an educational conversation about government and policy? That's not a tangent. Samantha, government and education, government policy and education, they come from the stuff I'm talking about right now. The government we've formed comes from the ideas that I'm talking about right now, or that I was talking about 30 to 60 seconds ago, for those of you that are still following. What I'm talking about, that's where it comes from. That's where these ideas came to be, these new ideas that they may not necessarily have known what they were doing, but they tried. And they found a way to make it work minimally. Shave the fat, try again. Shave the fat, try again. Shave the fat, try again. Right? And never give up. And always push forward. But never giving up and always pushing forward are actually two completely separate conversations, because they come from two different mindsets. The mindset of never give up comes from a fear-based mindset, that survival mindset, whereas always push forward comes from an optimistic mindset of I am safe. So for me, I always push forward, because as a human being, I know that I'm safe and I don't have to be afraid. I live in America, and a country that has some massive safety nets. And while people say there aren't really safety nets, I mean, I grew up in a position where there really wasn't, or at least it seemed to be that way. But now sitting here, I'm a free man at 25, and I've been quite stupid. And, you know, I've been granted the freedom to learn my lessons and move forward. So to me, as I sit here, I say, I have one hell of a country, and I've had one hell of a safety net. Whether or not I deserve it, I mean, that's up for public debate. But I got it. So I want to be grateful for that gift, return that favor, but also make sure not to give extra. Because that can happen pretty easy, and pride is one hell of a drug. And here's the thing, guys. If you do come into the broadcast and you're given this attitude, you won't be coming back. And that's important to think about, because you may not want to be a part of this conversation right now, but you will want to be a part of that conversation in the future. I do know that for a fact. So I recommend being respectful now, because I'm respecting you as much as I can. You respect my time, I respect yours. If you're not patient enough to work through it, then you don't deserve my personal time, because this is my personal time as well, and I appreciate yours. If you feel your time is being wasted, you're not listening close enough. That's not narcissism. These conversations all intertwine. It all comes together. What do you mean lose America? What do you think America stands for? Well, we are America. So what do you stand for? That's technically a political answer, but America in itself, the system, does not exist outside the men and women, thank you, who run the country. What is, you know, if a tree falls in the woods? I mean, technically, but these are ideas, and they do exist without us, but if we don't witness them, why are they there? All right. Like I said, guys, if you're more interested in stouting your pride to me and letting me know you like competing with me, then you're not that interested in becoming more educated. I am interested in becoming more educated. If you're going to let your emotional standpoints overtake an intellectual conversation, then that's not enough discipline to have the conversation. But if you want to give it a shot, I'm interested in having the conversation. Just realize when you come up and then you're shooting a shot at me, then you're going to get blocked. I'm not gonna block you if you're polite. Seriously, even if you're just like, well, I disagree with you, I don't like you. You can say that, you know. People, if you watch the comments, people don't say that to me. They don't say just, I don't like you or this. They insult me. They go out of their way to insult me and then say somehow I was insulting by blocking them. I'm not giving you a personal insult. You're insulting me. So you are unwelcome in my personal space. So if you want to be in my personal space and we're going to have this conversation, it's going to be done maturely. And that's not a provocation. I'm not provoking you to compete with me. I'm saying that you competing with me is proof that you're competing with me as opposed to trying to learn together. And I want to learn together. Does Trump have COVID? I mean, that's what the news said. They said that he went to the hospital. Now that he's back, I don't know. I'm not all the way caught up. What is Starbucks really selling? A whole bunch of stuff. You know, a successful company in America, they sell more than just a product. They sell an idea. You have to have something to offer. So if that's a real question, that becomes a tangent, right? That becomes a tangent. So we're staying on topic. We're having a conversation about Donald Trump, or at least I thought we were going to. And talking about a person and talking about the ideas behind a person's thinking is part of talking about the person. You don't just talk about what you see on the surface if you want to understand what's happening underneath. Like investing in new drug treatments. Gary, can you give me a little more context? And thank you for waiting up on me. Did he actually get some Rona? I don't know. You know, that I can't say that. I don't have enough information. I don't know. I just want you guys to know this is fun time for me. So don't worry about any of the rest of it. I want to enjoy a good conversation. I try not to be mature. It makes me happier. Hey, we all make our sacrifices. If it's worth it to you, then I respect that. As long as you're a happy person, that's what matters. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Just recognize that in that phrase, it says the pursuit of happiness. It does not say the guarantee of happiness, and it does not say that you will get happiness. It says that you are guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but welcome to the pursuit of happiness. you're welcome to pursue it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. So if you have it, you're ahead of the game. That's my viewpoint. That if you have happiness, you are so far ahead of the game. Does not matter how much money you're making. You're winning. You're utilizing the system for what it's made for. To find it. It's obviously a troll. It happens. Yeah, I'm now 26. I just turned 26 on the 5th. Moved to Canada, time to escape. I don't know. What I'm learning, sometimes the only way out is through. At least that is something that has been echoing in my mind that has not gone away, is the idea that the only way out is through. Not up, not down, but through. Not in or out, but through. So we have the experience, we learn the lesson, and we move on to the next one. But that's also that's biased based on my life experience too. So a little unsolicited advice. Like I said, whether or not that influences, but that does come to the point where whether or not it influences your decision-making process, that's not on me. Good or bad. Don't give me the credit. I had someone who, had given me the credit for their promotions at work and this or that, and it was just a way to buy their way into my life, I shouldn't have taken that credit because realistically, it fooled me into thinking that I had it. And then I tell other people I have this, I'm doing that. And they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And the people that would agree with me weren't the healthiest people. I mean, they're people who will, they'll send me a gift card on my birthday after I've made it very clear that I'm not interested in person. Like, I have stalkers. Let me leave it there, guys, is I have stalkers. And it is stalking when you tell somebody, hey, I'm like, it doesn't matter how many times you reestablish a boundary or break it down. Wherever it is at that moment, that's where it's at. And the expectation for someone else to respect that is completely legitimate. Now, flipping it back and forth to try and screw somebody, that's not cool. But when it's because you're trying to figure out an appropriate boundary, that's just how it is, And we can't have perfection in life, but I'm also not going to hold myself back for people who don't want to progress. But I'm also not going to sacrifice the people I love for progress. And that's where the left and the right kind of find their way together. Because you got the left wing and the right wing, and you need two wings to fly. And that's just a perspective metaphor standpoint, is that you need two wings to fly. So maybe we can think about it in a way where we all work together. That's fair. Thank you. Joking about moving to Canada, we need the American people to stay there. We have our own problems. We all have our stuff, for sure. Welcome on, Troll. How are you? Okay. Also, this is my platform. This is not our platform. This is not mine and my spouse's platform. This is my platform. So I'm on the podium. I don't have my wife here holding my hand. I'm doing my thing. And yeah, you did hear me right. Because I'm making my decisions and I'm making sure that the screen is not more real than it actually is. I'm making sure that you guys, as you watch, are in the appropriate position in your life, separate from me, right? We're not best friends. We're not this. We're not that. I'm not building a community and trying to, coerce you into this, pack mentality. My marketing practices, I'm going to make them as ethical as possible, regardless of where the state of our country or the state of anything else, because of who I am, because it affects who I become. And if it means that I stay poor, I guess that's how it's going to go. Then it means that I don't mesh with this country, which I don't believe it's how it's going to go, because our country is a master at absorbing problems. Like, we're really good at reverse engineering and recycling problems and finding solutions for them. So I'm hoping that me within this country, I become somebody that offers enough value that people are willing to continue to recycle, the problems that, the issues of change that I bring to the table, while also flipping it and saying, well, he brings a lot more than he takes, so he's worth it. And that's the shift I'm trying to make, is how do I'm trying to give what people want. And I'm starting to admit to myself, as I be transparent, I don't have as much to offer you as you want, or that I thought that I did. And so I have to learn how to do that and bring you something that you want without me losing who I am. So here I am. I'm ready to talk about Donald Trump. If you guys are, you can bring him up. You can derail my talk. I am not a typical broadcaster. I'm telling you, if you just bring up Donald Trump, just talk about the stuff you want, you can derail me. That's not a train wreck. A train wreck is when you do just let me go off and just go and go and go. That's a train wreck. I am totally okay with you bringing the conversation back when I get lost in my thoughts, because people like me are known to do that. I'm open to being taught how to stay on track. Investing in new drug treatments instead of military funding could increase the overall quality of life in America. Will just take time. Are you, and this is where I'm becoming educated, is that in that context there, are you telling me that military is funding the research on medication in America? I think that's what I'm hearing, but it's so unbelievable and spooky to hear that I don't want to believe it. Is that what you're telling me? I also need to go and fact check these things, right? When somebody tells me something. That's why I'm going to get a second phone again soon. And I will take a pause in the broadcast and go and Google it and make sure. Now, once I learn something, I won't have to, be duped twice. But I'm also not going to sit here and when somebody tells me that Trump initiated martial law at random, I'm not going to just believe it. So I'm getting back into my own head. I was raised, no matter if you like who is president, you still respect the man and the office. Somehow we've lost that. What was I going to say? Yeah. So respect can come through fear or faith. It can also come through education. Education is a beautiful place right in the middle. So some of us have faith in an idea when we have the ability to understand it. And some of us fear an idea when we have the ability to understand it. When we seek to understand the idea, we won't have faith in it, neither have fear in it, we'll have confidence in it. Because confidence does not come through faith. It's the way, this is psychology, guys. Okay, this is not a Bible talk. It is common sense psychology. It is faith, hope, love in the brain. They do not correlate with confidence. Love to a degree correlates with confidence, but they're not direct. It's like they're two adjacent highways. So to bring it back from philosophy, not back from philosophy, but to take it from the core deep levels, let's bring it back up, talk about Donald Trump. So I'll take that. Fear and faith, right? Fear and faith. Let's bring it to a place of understanding. Fear and faith. What are your fears? Even if you support Donald Trump, what are your fears about Donald Trump? And the reason I bring up fear first is because faith is always a better place to leave it. If someone will not understand regardless, or they don't seek to understand it, the best place to leave it is with faith. Faith is always better than fear because our innate nature says fear to survive, but we're living in a first world country. At least those of us who are watching in America, it's going to be the majority. So no offense to those of you who are not leaving you behind, but you would take care of your own, right? You got to take care of your own. And that's something I'm learning is if I'm going to be able to help the other guy, we got to help ourselves first. So it's always better to lead with faith than fear, because leading with fear creates a more aggressive soldier. But faith creates a more intelligent soldier. So you can take that to the U.S. military. U.S. Special Forces, they prefer, at least this was when I was educated on it, they prefer men specifically, but men, women, they prefer someone who is in a strong and appropriately rooted family. They want someone for special operations who has a home to go to. They have something positive they're fighting for, as opposed to, a rebel without a cause who's fighting the bad guy. And a lot of those movies you see, right? You see this super spy. What they don't tell you in real life is oftentimes these super spy type people are very mentally unhealthy, and they're oftentimes just used like a tool. Where in real life, a legitimate soldier, they have their family base and they have those good roots. And it's hard to come by nowadays as the family becomes more and more sparse. But to be rooted in faith it creates more results than fear. It's also possible that with the progress we're making in our country, that we're intentionally turning to fear to slow down our progress because we've made so much. I don't know that, but I love speculating. It's entertaining to speculate and come up with new ideas about how things may be working. That's how I entertain myself, because TV bores me. I like to watch a simple show, but complex shows are boring. So I'd rather talk about ideas. Chip Beef says, I think he meant to invest more money in medicine and less money in the military. Let's see what he says. Gary says, we move funding from military is drug research. We could raise the quality of life, in my opinion. Yeah. I wonder why they're doing that. That's what my next question becomes. Okay, why? Why are they choosing the military over healthier versions of healthcare? What's the goal there? Cheeseburger. Jimmy, have you voted in the past? If not, are you registered to vote? That I am not going to answer, because that's a bait question. And I'm not going to be called a coward for protecting myself. I've also learned, guys, that protecting your human life, that's not being a coward. And me answering that question can put my life at risk. Isn't that, you want to talk about crazy? You want to talk about having my freedom suppressed? When I buffed my chest up a little too much and I let people know I was a little too strong, a little too smart, a little too soon. And so they're, okay, well, now we're going to repress your freedoms. We're going to let you know, hey, if you let people know your potential, then we're going to shade your potential and psychologically manipulate you and destroy your life. That way people will cut you off from the resources. Because if you don't do what we say, we're going to punish you like a child. And it doesn't work. It works last resort. A lot of people discounted my ability to learn a different way than last resort as an excuse so they could sit up in their ivory tower and pull their little strings. That's what I say. I say that's cowardice. That's cowardice. One of those people, let me tell you this, one of those people could have knocked on my door like a human being. Hey, I'm so-and-so, I do such and such, this is what I understand, this is what you don't, this is what you could, this is how it works. Boom, I'm an asset. No, let the assets come to us. It's laziness, in my opinion. I'm not in that position, but to me that's laziness. Or it's just something I don't understand yet. So for me, I can shoot the shot, I can be insulting, but the reality is that I don't know. And I'm willing to accept that I don't know, but I also have the freedom to express my feelings. That's America. I can tell you, hey, I'm upset by how I've been treated. I can also say that I'm mature enough to say that I don't know for sure. Most people stop at halfway. Oh man, it makes me angry. They did this to me. I mean, I can't prove it. I could prove it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter whether or not I could. I don't care what other people think that much. I care enough that I'm upset, and I'll express that I'm upset, but I'll also say, there must be more to this than I understand. And I'm going to work really hard to figure it out as fast as I can, because I'm making, minimum wage at the age of 26. And even if I know all these things, I discounted my own fear. So lead with faith. I brought it full circle. You could tell me I tangented, but I brought it full circle. So I know I shouldn't be this proud of myself, but I've been off my rocker for a bit, so I'm very happy to be back on it. And I get scared too along the way. I'm like, am I going to lose it? Am I losing it? Almost. Gary says, because America has the biggest military budget in the whole world to protect our freedoms, they say. Imagine where we could be if we just cut back military spending by 25%. Here's the thing, though. Guys, I do live somewhere in the middle. Like, in every possible way, I live in the middle. Man, people even know my tells. guys, don't be afraid to tell the truth and don't try to deceive people. Be honest, but be just honest enough, because what you'll find out is people who think they have you figured out are so busy trying to figure you out and lie to you that they're not as ahead of you as they think they are. And the few people that are ahead of you are people who want to invite you in the club. When you're honest like they are, when you can be as a child, they'll invite you into the club. But you have to stay mature. It's so important. You have to be mature about it. And you have to pay for your own plane ticket. So as far as the military goes, we're funding the military. But and Gary, you might know more about this. So if you know more about this, please teach me. Okay, I want you to know that. I'm going to give you my standpoint. I am open to more. I want more. I do know that what I'm saying is accurate. It is. Give me more if you'd like to. If you disagree with me, you don't like me, then you're just giving them what they want by cutting me off over feelings. You know, cutting me off from the information because I'm saying something that you disagree with. That, you know, makes sense. So I don't know yet. We're going to find out. But that's how I have bad guys winning against me, is where I'm getting cut off from information because I know so much and people don't want me to know more. And I'm like, I'm in favor of things working out if this is a positive move. When the majority is showing me that they're irresponsible, it makes me nervous to even stay in this country. So we'll see how things go. And I got to stay confident. I got to fight that fear and stay confident. Investing money in the military. What about Doctors Without Borders? What about countries where we are winning their favor towards our ways of democracy, as opposed to just conquering, right? As opposed to just bringing in the church and attacking. So Christian or not Christian, I'm using the Christian example because I was raised Christian. We did it poorly. It's just how it is. It's how it is. It's against our belief system. Now, the American belief system doesn't necessarily align with that all the time, right? We support war. If you read our books, we support war. Good or bad, it's how it is. It's where our country is right now. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. I'm saying it works. I am also saying, in my opinion, it's a last resort option. So is it last resort? I don't know. But we go to other countries and we try to help them instill democracy. Now, some countries want it, some countries don't. We've also learned that the majority of people, they do provide an attitude of resistance towards democracy. They provide an attitude of resistance towards what we're bringing in. And people who are against our country like to come in and say, well, then look at they're invading those countries and they're causing problems for those countries. But I want you to think a little more about it. Kate and I came into a community that's brand new for us, right? And regardless of what people have said about me on the internet, or regardless of any of that, we came into a brand new community. And we have not been rejected, but we have been accepted very reluctantly, okay? And the way that we live is a culture ulterior to what we're familiar with. It's going to take a little time for other people to adjust to us. It's going to take us time it's going to take us time to adjust to them. And because we're in America, it's a possibility. And I'm trying to put proof to the American way. If we were doing this in Iraq or Baghdad, we'd be shot, raped, or killed. Just saying. Whereas here in America, we can go into a part of our country, and yes, technically it's the same country, but when you think about it, we are different states. We are United States. For those of you who aren't familiar with countries outside of America, a lot of our states within the country are larger than other countries as a whole. So it's just to go to say is for us to be able to move here, it shows that our ideas are effective. Because here in America, we can move here and find a way to get along. So, investing in the military and instilling democracy elsewhere, it's kind of like defeating an enemy before we have an enemy. But at the same time, it's not about defeating the enemy. It's about building an ally, right? Building an ally, and not an asset, an ally. We don't treat them like assets. And also understanding that if someone becomes treated like an asset, oftentimes they asked to be treated like an asset. They chose not to And this includes myself. I want you to know that. It includes myself in some ways that I've chosen, the ways that I've behaved, is we can become an asset and like a tool because we chose not to level up and say, it's time to be subordinate. It's time to listen. It's time to do what I'm told to a better degree. And that is something that's very difficult for me to learn, is how to do what I'm told, but I'm willing to learn. So I definitely agree that healthcare, I mean, look at me. I'm a prime example of what happens when healthcare is corrupt and messed up and there's not enough investment into it. But at the same time, I have to sit here and say that all the extra work that I put into this piece of it, maybe if our country had, this is all speculation. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying this, right? And it gets your brains jogged to think in your way, not mine. This can be fun. That if we weren't putting our time and efforts into other countries, maybe Hitler'd still be around, or maybe we'd have another enemy. I don't know. I'm just saying that the way things look right now, maybe we're doing the best we can being a country that's less than 300 years old. I'd say we're doing okay for being 300 years old, if you look at other empires and other countries. We're doing rough. Yes, we're doing really rough. But we're still here. I assume it's because freedom comes first. That's my guess. It's okay. The baiters are bored today. Oh, it's all good. Like this is the beauty of it, is with positive conversation and really fighting towards this. And you can tell, yes, impartial, my pride. I feel safe right now. So it's fair to say that technically I'm here talking about how the community, I don't really know what's going on your side of the screen. And as I face that, I'm facing that live on screen. It's embarrassing to say, wow, I just decided the entire climate of the room, like I've been doing since the beginning, without actually knowing where people are. Because I wanted to guide everybody in that direction, and I thought that was about everybody to me. It was about me, and I'm sorry. This monkey can learn. You just give me a shot. Here's what I'm going to say to you guys. We are in a country where we are innocent until proven guilty. And to this day, I have been treated guilty without the option of being proven innocent. Thank God I live in America and not the land of the internet people who took over my life. As I look up, I still have my freedoms, and I still have the opportunity to learn. I don't like how I've been treated. But you're Americans, some of you. And for those of you who aren't, my guess is the people who really did test me either came from or are in countries that you are guilty before proven innocent, or guilty until proven innocent. And I'm hoping that the example of my life is proof to you that our way works, maybe just a little bit better. In that way, in that little way. We have a lot of work to do. But innocent until proven guilty is the reason I'm alive. It's a conversation I had with Kate. It's going to be a hard one with you guys. It's worth it. So worth it. When I was living in my car, I got turned around at the Canadian border. It's a couple years ago. Let's not go into the past, guys. It's not about going into the past. This isn't some get-off session for you. This is a lesson that I learned. And now I'm bringing back to you the lesson I learned. Because some of you know it, some of you don't. But I want to say it anyway so that you know that I learned it. And also, if there's anyone who needs to learn it, you learn it. And then anyone who was there for it, you can say, hey, he learned. I did. So, if I would have gotten into Canada, if I would have gotten the rest of the way into Canada, because I was traveling, for anyone who doesn't know, and because of my finances and I didn't have like a hotel set up and things like that, what ended up happening was I had to turn around. And that was a blessing. And there was someone in my broadcast who didn't like me and was trying to hurt me. They weren't trying to help me, or at least that's what they said. They were trying to hurt me. And so they were like former Border Patrol. And they stopped me from getting into Canada. They did. They successfully stopped me from, now I crossed the border, so I took that and I was like, haha. But the reality is I did not get to go and live in Canada and enjoy travel in Canada. And I before saw that, oh my gosh, this is so bad. It was a blessing, because the lesson I learned is that if I had gotten into Canada and had been so adverse to other people and been so verbally aggressive and loud and mean, it could be seen as a crime. I could be in jail if I were in Canada. You know, if people really wanted to beat me, they could have just let me get into Canada. And I realize that now, that probably most people knew that, which tells me that most people did have good intentions for me, because most people were trying to stop me from getting into Canada. And while they say their intention was to like stop my progress, I'm pretty sure they understand how Canada works. So we got some good people in our country. And even if some of us are a little brash and a little rough around the edges, even if we're far to the left, far to the right, somewhere in the middle, we might be youthful, but damn, do we care. We got some big hearts here in this country. It may be emotionally appealing and a convenient marketing point. It's still the truth. That's the best marketing practice, telling the truth. That's the truth. We got big hearts in this country. So, and maintaining that is pretty hard. Me having a positive attitude, it must be working, because I'm like the last guy who should be happy. I'm not a college professor, no. I don't live with anybody, no. I mean, from what you're talking about. If you really stop and think about places like Iraq and such, we are very lucky to be Americans. Yeah, very blessed. And I'd like to, if I can, I'm going to go ahead and take it one step just beyond lucky. Our ancestors made a personal decision to escape to America. Our ancestors made a personal decision to live here. Are you lucky? Or did your grandparents or their grandparents make a really smart decision? Maybe both. But, you know, all of that factors in. So before we count ourselves as just lucky, remember that someone that brought you here had the gonads or the breasts or the brawn to make it here. And you come from that. Remember that. I'll motivate you with that. I got no problems motivating you with that. Is that you got here somehow. Unless you're a native. In that case, they're tough as nails. So, we got here somehow. Make sure to maintain that confidence and don't forget where you came from. Because somebody got you here. And what they had is in your blood. Don't discount yourself. Make sure to stay focused on how much you can do. But make sure not to be proud of yourself if you don't do it. So I'm trying to do it now. I don't want to just be proud of what I'm not doing. Just because I know I have it. That would just make me a Saroka. That would just make me, lazy. And I want to do my family proud and help them regain their capabilities, because my family, they're so darn smart. And it's time to pick up the ball and get playing. Gary says, do you think Trump has access to more treatments for COVID, or do you think he's being treated the same as everyone else? Well, it's not going to be a thought. It's going to be an assumption based on the experience that I've had with society. It's my assumption that he's probably getting better treatment. And if he's not, then it's a play. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. So I don't know. But I mean, the way that the game works, I don't know. I see a lot of people who make, because it's hard for me to believe that somebody could make $100 million, not Trump, but maybe other like celebrities and people like that they could make so much money. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, the cure to cancer is in Mexico, and they're not going to Mexico to get treated. So, I mean, that's, in case anyone doesn't know, it's like common knowledge. So, not dangerous to talk about. It's not, because people don't trust me anyway. So don't worry about it. I got like 30 people in the broadcast. Most people think I'm nuts. So don't worry about people taking my opinion on it. But I'm learning that there's a reason for everything in our country. It doesn't mean I support it. Also doesn't mean I understand it. So I'm also learning that when I share more than I should, that's dangerous to my human life. And it puts me in danger. And it's not smart. Like even what I just said there was probably a little too much. Wasn't like it was a totally unnecessary risk for me to say that. I'm learning to get better with that. But it should also teach you guys why certain people may not share things with the general public because there's some sort of timed process with the world. There's some sort of rate of change or evolution that either has to be kept to, or it's just how it is. I don't know. Maybe the way that ideas become accepted in society, but there's like a rate of process to these things. And if you're somebody who knows more, even though you have the freedom to share it, when we abuse that freedom, that's not really fair. It's actually more hurtful than helpful, because me saying that, maybe somebody decides that they're going to Google it, find some cancer street in Mexico, go down to Mexico and get their liver cut out of their belly, you know, and it's not, that's not my fault. But I just realized me saying that is like, whoa, need to be a little more careful, a lot more careful. I need to be. So if you do the proper research, you can understand these kind of things. But like I said, proper research. Don't get overly hopeful. Don't put your faith in something you don't understand until you know that it's safe, right? That safety is key. So like, I'm putting my faith in my country because I feel a lot more safe than I ever did. And after all that I've been through, now here I am. I'm like, okay, I can be safe to invest a little bit in my country. It's nice to have open discussions where people nicely debate instead of fighting each other. Yeah, that can be a very enjoyable broadcast. We all have opinions, and we love our opinions. And if we can learn to share our opinions in a way that's not so heated, even if we have our feelings inside. I mean, guys, look at what I've been through. Okay, let's just imagine for a second that I'm telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, right? Wouldn't you be a little angry? Especially at your country. What's it worth? So what? You know, so what? And maybe a little too proud for being peaceful after the choices I've made. But I've had a lack of access to education. Like I've had lack of access to most things and most people. And the expectation was that I just give up my intelligence. And I'm like, no, I'm not going stupid just to get along. I'd rather fight my way through it like my ancestors did. And I don't want to leave America, or at least I haven't decided that yet. I can say that I'm much more on board with being an American than I was 6 months ago. So just continuing to give chances here and say, okay, is this worth it? What makes it worth it? And it might sound crazy to you to hear that from me. We don't all have the same upbringings, and mine was a lot more rough than you're ever going to know. Some of you can surmise it and you can piece it together. I'm pretty angry, but I know how to let it go. And even that, yes, even that, because God, this is my belief, that God always gives us challenges that we can at least handle with help. Sometimes we do get challenges. Maybe, people say God will never give you a challenge that you can't handle. I don't believe that personally. I think sometimes God intentionally gives us challenges that we can't handle on our own. Personal belief. If you guys want to talk about yours, I'm open to it. But I think sometimes we need help. And God will give us challenges that we need help for to make sure we don't end up alone. Because I can live alone. That's something most people can't do. But it's not healthy for me anyway. So to me, God gave me a challenge that requires the help of others. That way, I don't end up alone. And maybe there's other people out there who may actually like me. And I'm not going to find out until I talk to them. How are you, Nepal? Welcome on. Scope Tip says, my family was Irish slaves in this country, but it's all good. Hey, man, as long as you can power through it, that's seriously keeping that positivity. Right now in our country, we have a terrorist organization that is like publicly being supported by American companies. And people don't even know that it's a terrorist organization. So, kind of an ulterior form of Nazism, and it is being proportionally promoted by major brands in our country. So is it no longer a terrorist organization, or because I live here, I do feel that I deserve a little more context? It's not a matter of being supportive or against. It is, I'm looking at the facts and it makes me tremble. So, okay, I'm supposed to trust you while you're utilizing the help of a terrorist organization. I need more context. Me, you want my trust? You want my trust. I need to understand why this is okay. And injustice is not an excuse for supporting terrorism. My opinion, guess I'm not educated enough, but it does make me scared enough to say no. It does make me scared enough to say I definitely need more information before I'm on board with that. I'm definitely in support of equality, like 1,000,000%. But the way it's done is definitely going to affect how some people see it. And it's going to go down in the history books. And no matter how many Confederate flags you knock down, there's somebody out there who's going to be pissed about that. No matter how many, we can shift it whichever ways we want. And they can say that, history is owned. How do they say it? History belongs to the victors. No, it doesn't. How you write history doesn't change how it happened in someone's mind. You can alter their perception of it, but it's like in our bones, we remember how things went. That's human. Beyond anything you write down, that is human. You can shift someone's immediate viewpoint on what's going on. But I believe in the human soul. And I don't think the human soul forgets. But now we're getting into fun talk. We're moving beyond Donald Trump. So if you guys are enjoying the tangent, engage in the tangent with me. If you're not, we can get back on topic. And I'm totally cool with that. I like being wrong. Yes, really, I like being wrong. And I see that I'm wrong. So I'm going to just chill out. This is what I do. I snowball. And I need to learn how to regain and keep focus, because I thought I was a lot less embarrassed when I made mistakes on camera than I really was, because I used this shut off my feelings attitude to power forward, right? I was raised on that viewpoint, and it doesn't work. It doesn't really get you all the results you want. So I have to re-engage my feelings, recognize that I am disastrously embarrassed right now, and that I am cognizant that I'm on live camera in front of 23 people and definitely hundreds more later. Not even just in my broadcast, but all the people who watch me from another broadcast. It's embarrassing. And while some people enjoy watching me make a fool of myself, it's much more enjoyable when we move forward together. And people who are stuck in the past and can't move forward, they're not going to be a part of the future of our country. So you and I shouldn't be so concerned with them regardless. You don't leave them behind, but they're going to have to watch my echo. They're going to have to watch your echo. It's just how it goes. Hey, City Flyer. I'm gonna take the bait here. What's Kathmandu? Where is that? And see, this is what I mean. People will start to mess with me to try and throw me off track, and I'm like, why would you do that? There must be something wrong with you. Like I can't engage with those people. It amazes me that I ever did. And people told me, they're like, stay away from those people. Like common sense says, who engages with those people? And now they're hiding behind my name. This is going to be ugly. This is going to be so ugly. It's not going to be that ugly for me, but it's going to be ugly. Gary says, I believe, and I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm not going to feel guilty for other people's actions. I have to keep reminding myself of that. To feel guilty for my own, not the repetition of my past actions by other people. I can't be held responsible for that. Gary says, I believe, and other people will use that as a weapon to try and make me feel guilty to slow me up. Psychology, man. Here it says, I believe that the government suppresses a lot of medical treatments because of the 1% of people who could die from side effects, but would cure a lot of things that are uncurable. I'm not mentioning organization names. I'm not gonna go there. I appreciate that though. I appreciate it. Seriously, Gary, I do. I mean that. I hope you know that I'm not putting a stop sign in front of you, or I'm putting a stop sign. I'm saying let's slow down and pick a different direction. Let's not keep going straight down that. I led us there. I apologize. Yeah, so do we use math for that? Do we use math when talking about a human life? I've come to the point in my life where I don't say yeah, but I say, okay, there are people out there who do. And what it appears is that those people are like running the world. That makes me really nervous. Like, I thought about this today when I was watching somebody's video, and I thought to myself, this person, I'm doing it. I gotta stop. I got this. Slowing down. I got this. I totally got this. Guys, I am changing. I am no longer a train wreck. This is difficult, but I don't have to be near as afraid as I am. And I see that now. I am capable of this. I am fully capable of this. Beyond faith, I have the biological, intellectual, and social ability to conquer these issues with your help. And if I'm going to ask for your help, I'm going to have to step down to the lowest of the low. And I hope you'll let me do that, because there are people who won't even let me apologize just to try and, keep me down. So to those of you who have forgiven me and we're moving forward together, let me get as low as I can for you, because I want to learn from you. And I'm not trying to fool you. I don't have anything to take from you other than a lesson. So I'm asking you to teach me, and in return, you got to let me know what you want, or I'll do my best to figure it out on my own. But there's plenty that I have to learn yet. And what you see is the taste on my lips, right? I'm hungry. I'm hungry for education. I'm hungry for growth. I want these things for my life. And some people get jealous, but if you're willing to just let me be me, I like you. And I hope you let me like you, because most people don't let me like them. I try to like them, and they hate me for trying to like them. As far as, the 1% of people who could die. So then there becomes the question, you take somebody like a Bill Gates. Do you choose to save his life instead of somebody else's? There are people who are in that position who have to make that decision. So before we judge people who are in that position, we should recognize that that is a position. And it's easy to say, well, this is what I would do if I was in their shoes. But like, how the hell do we know that? Here's what I'll tell you. And this, I'll bring it back to personal experience. I'll keep it simple for my own safety. I had to choose between two people that I care very much about. And neither one of them, at that point, cared nearly as much about me as I had thought. Even so, that's fine. I still would have made the same decisions, or I would have made decisions to behoove them, but I probably would have kept them more of an emotional distance, which would have put me in a position to be more emotionally responsible and more responsible with my choices if I had known that we weren't nearly as close as I thought we were. I had to use like evaluating and a balanced scale to decide to pick between one human being and another. That's the position I was in. I did not have a choice. I had one person telling me, you pick them or you pick me. And the other person said, you pick me or you pick them. For the very first time in my life, I sat back and I said, you know what? I'm picking myself. That's what I did. And I never did that before. I've never felt more guilty in my life. Felt. And it ended up helping everybody. It became the best thing for everybody. And it's been getting better every day. I also recognize, though, that for who I am, making a selfish choice should be last resort. So picking myself should be last resort. At least that was my first-hand experience. That was my first-time experience, being in a situation like that. What I'm hoping, I don't want to be in a position like that again, but if I am in a position like that again, I hope that I can learn, is that my only choice? I'd like to say that the next time I end up in that position, I've made better choices, that I have more than just that choice, because I kind of screwed myself doing that. So. Yeah, who to save who? Who do you save? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we want to survive, and we want to save ourselves. And we'd like to say that we'll save the other person, but during a time when I believed I was the most selfless, I made the most selfish choice. And that was when my mind map was completely made up of selflessness. To me, that proves that I'm a selfish creature. Maybe you believe you're not, maybe you're not. I don't know. I think we should definitely put a little more thought into it. And then next, is it bad that we're selfish if we do it well? If we're selfish in a way that's healthy for us and others, is that good, bad, indifferent? I don't think anything in life is indifferent. And we do have to calculate choices, but we should definitely calculate them in a way we're accounting for the human soul and not just for the human life. But that's my viewpoint. That is a belief. That goes into faith because it's something I can't prove at present. I totally agree about companies supporting terror organizations. I don't get it either. There must be more intricacies to understand for that to be appropriate, that people do that are, they're permissed to, not only permissed to, but it's kind of culturally supported to do that right now. Yeah, Lizard says, community is important and in place in times when it's too hard alone. That might be where our country is right now. This is another thought I had. What if we're going to war with China? And right now, America needs to be unified. And maybe this tool is an effort to unify us and put us in a position where we can defend ourselves against tyranny. And sometimes looking like the tyrannical one is a great way to keep us safe from some tyranny that we might look at otherwise that might freak us out. So, for me, I think we've won already. And now it's just a matter of absorbing the hit. Something even better than winning a war is absorbing the preemptive signs of war. And that's what it appears like to me, that we are absorbing preemptive signs of war with Russia and China. That's my viewpoint. That we are, I don't know what we're doing, but I look at both sides and I say, to me it looks like the left and right are working together. I'm sitting back. And to me, it looks like we are way more unified as a country than people think. So even when people are taking sides, it's only when you have somebody on opposite sides standing next to each other that we have a fight. For the most part, everybody in between is getting along. The media might not portray it that way. Sometimes they do. But if you look around, if we have the slightest bit of similarity, such as our human life, it's like people are willing to tolerate you. They're willing to get along. And even in places where it may seem the most intolerable. So like right now I live in the Midwest. And two people from the left, they would be considered like the most intolerant people. Now, by all technicalities, I'm white. So that definitely buys me a lot. It's not a good example of an unfair situation. What I can say is that African Americans in the community are treated like normal people. Like there's really, maybe there's like in-house racism, or people are racist at home or in their friend groups. But ironically, when you go into a capitalist business, everyone is treated equal. And so while some people are trying to abolish capitalism on the left, sometimes when people misbehave at home, it's great to have a business to go to where people are going to be treated equally. Now, the problem starts in the home, and that has to be healed. But getting rid of the business, it may expose the problem. But that's not creating a solution. It's not the same thing. You know, education, healthcare, those things do help. So, you know, it brings us full circle. What's the purpose? What's the issue? I don't have the ability to say, but I'm working on finding out. Have I ever considered ventriloquism? I think you'd be good at it. I have considered ventriloquism, and, you know, I've been tempted with that opportunity, but I see it much more as a detriment and an ego trip than an opportunity. That's me, right? So people oftentimes, they will see the ventriloquist and they'll see the puppet, and they only take it that far. There's got to be people higher up than that. I'm just not buying this. Like, if I can sit here knowing what I know as a human being, there is no way that the ventriloquist, that the string puller is the shot caller. I don't believe it, because someone directed the play, and they're not pulling the strings. They're not. You know, they're calling the shots. They're saying, this is how it's going to go. They're not the one doing it or getting somebody else to get somebody else to do it. They understand how it all works, and they're sitting back, or they're doing something else. I don't know. But, you know, I like to look further and further and further. I don't like to stop. But I'm also learning to double down on doing things in my life, not just talking about it and then being proud that I know something. Because information is tasty, but I've gotten so much information and I've put so little of it into practice that I'm falling behind. And that can happen if we get so caught up in ourselves and so interested in the information, and then we don't practice what we've learned. Then we don't have the experience, so then we don't grow. And then we may gain the perception that we've grown, like repetitious learning. We may think that we are much smarter than we really are. So I have gained mastery in a certain area. I have, like I said, in the that reciprocity. So I understand how to refine the process of refinement, but that's not the refinement process. And I'm deciding, you know, when you talk about ventriloquism, do I want to be involved in the process of refinement, or do I want to go up? It's big fish, small pond territory. And that's where I get nervous, because people from my past, they are big fish, small pond territory. They are men. Yes, men. Maybe women. But for the most part, my eyes have been on men. Guys, it's my experience. I'm not a chauvinist. But I've seen men who've decided, this is my big pond, or this is my little pond, and I have become master of this pond, and now I will not leave this pond, and I will call that mastery. That is environmental mastery. That is terraforming your environment to meet your needs and make it like you. It's playing God. To me, I don't want to go to Mars with Elon, but I also don't want to be president. I want to be somewhere in the middle there. That's me. And that's not grandiose thinking. That is, I know how much I know. And I am kind of hyper optimistic on the idea that I'm going to live long enough to have enough experience that by 50 or so, that I am living that life. There's no guarantees there, but I'm hoping that I can move, make haste slowly to get there. And I also need to learn my lesson on this stuff. Man, do I take the bait. Yo, what is wrong with people? That's the real question. There are people in this world that are that sick that they're more interested in the information than growth in their own life. And what you just saw from me, that was me biting the bait. And I'll give you an example. No, I won't, because that's my personal life and I don't have to share that. The point is, I was tempted with something recently that could have tasted very good, but it wasn't good for me. And I didn't realize how baited into temptation I had become. I didn't realize how many times I had said yes and yes and yes to things I knew I didn't want, I knew weren't good for me. But people used psychological tactics. They used some really dirty and high-level stuff to take me down. And they fought hard, and they brought in the big guns. And I mean the big guns, like big guns. And yes, I sit here, I feel so special, but you know what? No, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of danger. Like, what was I doing with my life? That was not smart. And just because I beat it does not make me smart. And yes, I did beat it. It's going to take time for the world to catch up to my accomplishments, but I did beat it. Regardless, what the hell? I am a guy who can just go get a regular job and like relax. Sure, I'll be miserable at work, but I can be happy at home. You know, that was the original premise that I'd been raised on. Just common sense. Like, I might hate my job, but I do have the ability to run a happy, healthy home. The real life is when you love your job and you're happy at home. And there's a lot of people that preach that. The level that I've grown to is I can look at them and I know they're not as happy as they say. I saw a guy making a video talking about how the higher ups that hide their life from you and you should come buy my course now. And no, it wasn't Ty Lopez. And I'm thinking to myself, what a fool. What a fool. Like, someone who has to say that is saying it based on their own insecurities because they're not in the club. Even me saying this to you right now is my insecurities because I'm not in the club. There's people who think I'm in the club just because there's so many people that are not in the club that will tell you or try and make it look like they're in the club. No, we're not in the, what club? The crazy club? There's a crazy club. Okay, that's the club of people who can't get in the club. I'm not taunting anybody because nobody cares what I have to say. I'm a nobody. That's the beauty of it. Sometimes it's nice to be nobody because you can say what you want and get away with it. But if I want to be a somebody, I have to learn to shut my mouth. So I'm very grateful for the enemies of my footstool that decided to ruin my life and think that they hurt me. All they did was wake me up to, wow, I don't deserve it. So, Donald Trump. Kathmandu is capital of Nepal. I looked it up. Thank you, Chief Beef. I'll have another phone soon. I appreciate your help. Thank you. I have become rather prideful, and I'm working on that. I don't want to lose my pride. I want to level up my humility to match the amount of pride that I've earned. I have an imbalance. Scope says, insightful, looking forward to watching from the beginning. Whether you're trying to win my favor or not, I appreciate that. If that was just genuine, you're a good dude, and that means a lot. Thanks. Gary says, I heard that the polls are favoring Biden more now by about 55% to Trump. Do you think Trump will win? The polls were in favor of Hillary in 2016, and he won then, but the COVID's changed the game. Okay. If I'm wrong, just come and give me crap, please. From what I see, there is no possibility of anybody but Trump becoming president. I mean, like, not even close, by a landslide. And it has nothing to do with popular vote or anything. It has to do with the world's climate. It has to do with the world and where things are. More than likely, Trump's going to win. Even people who are against Trump, from the way they're acting, it looks like they're being paid to hate on him. So, if I were you, I would just be ready for Trump 2.0. I wouldn't try to fight it. It's not even worth fighting. And I'm serious. It's not worth fighting because more than likely it'll go that way either way. So it's just like a Hitler. So for anyone who doesn't know, as Hitler was rising to power, what the part people don't think about is, like, did we know he was? Yes. I'm not saying that Trump's a Hitler. I'm saying that if Trump is a Hitler, sometimes preemptive. Like, are you going to preemptively stop something when you don't really know yet, right? So him going to power, people being afraid, it's proof that we don't really know what his deal is, because he knows how to hide it that well. So for me, when you look at the left, they're master illusionists. Like, that's their job. Okay, media, the illusion is the job. And Donald Trump is a master illusionist. And, like, he's a master magician, you might say. And people would like to say, well, he's no grifter. Like, I mean, are you then? Like, I'm saying that's the kind of attitude I get. People saying, hey, I'm better at being bad than he is. So that's supposed to sell me on you. They're jealous. That's not an emotional opinion. That's obvious. Most people are jealous of Donald Trump because he has so much of this stuff. He has all this figured out. And I hate to say it, but he's a real man. He's a coward, but he's a real man. And people don't like that. And they don't respect that he's stepping into a position that challenges him as a man. Like, he stepped into the position of president, and that's a challenge for him. It's outside of his realm of understanding, standing in the public eye in the way that he is now. Like, he's been in the public eye before, but not in such a way where he was going to be reamed out. And for anybody to say that Donald Trump didn't expect to get all that he's getting doesn't understand business. And he's a businessman. I'm a businessman. And let me tell you, Donald Trump knew what was coming for him. He did. So it must have been part of his master plan. It must have been something, and whether or not he's using that to grow himself as a person, or it is for the country, or he just has his own agendas, all we're going to be able to do is speculate from the outside. You can't know, and even if I could sit here and I could look at all angles, I'm not inside the guy's head, right? You're not inside the guy's head. So we don't know that. You don't even know, is he telling his wife? And some people attack his marriage, and that's why. This isn't defense of Donald Trump. It's having conversation about him as a human being, which is what's upsetting the left. They're getting upset. I'm not on the right or the left, guys. I'm sitting in the middle saying I'm watching the left get upset when the people on the right treat him like a human. They're getting upset when they treat him like a god. And I agree with that. That's weird. That's wrong. Don't do that. I don't know if he even wants that. It might feel good, but it's not good for the man. It's not good for any man to be treated like a god. We don't really want that as much as we say we do. I know I don't anyway. I don't like when people are just yes men towards me, because then I don't know who's in my circle that I can trust. So notice, as I'm talking about Donald Trump as a human being, I'm losing ratings. You get ratings for crapping on the guy or leaving him as an enigma. Maybe he wants that. Maybe he doesn't. I wouldn't know. I can tell you the media doesn't want me to talk about him as a human being. Period. Left or right. So I'm not going to mess with the illusion. I don't think that's smart, right? It's probably not health. It's not good for my health. So I'll walk away from that one. And I think all common sense people are just, they leave the rock. They're like, I don't think that's a good choice. So, because they're picking up on the climate. You guys understand how it works. What you have to see is as it's coming out of my mouth for the first time, I'm only thinking about it for the first time, because I am behind in those ways. And I'm very grateful to the people who are willing to be patient with me and help me catch up, realizing that sometimes I put my life at risk on accident. Not that I'm a narcissist or like a risk seeker. I'm not looking to take unnecessary risk. I'm looking to educate myself, and I am willing to take very difficult risks to make that happen. What I'm also saying is I sometimes take risks that I don't need to take. And I'm learning about what those are. Like, how do I go get what I want without dying on the boat halfway to America? I don't want to be the guy that was the test run. How do I make sure I'm not the test run? That's what I'm working out. Nobody wants to be the test run. So if you appreciate my human life, maybe you support that and can appreciate that. What I can tell you is you're not going to be the one pulling my strings, and you're not going to be the one that's the second person on the boat. You're not going to be the guy who steps in on Periscope after I, helped the system work out the kinks and was the victim. I went through that once. I won't be going through it twice. So, but I also don't think that it's fair for anybody to have to be that victim, right? How do we create a system where we know what's coming? It's kind of a paradox. You can't really do that. You can't do it. We can predict as much as we want, but it's like Schrodinger's cat. The second you look, it changes the result. It's just how it goes. The second you know what you're looking at, it's going to change how it comes. So many people want to know, by natural definition, psychology, anthropology, but take whatever sciences you want. Let's throw them all in there. You can't know. I don't know if I can't yet. That's why you won't hear me say that I can't. I know how narcissistic and crazy that sounds, but we have to be open to all possibilities. I'll try not to be greedy about it. That's what I'll tell you. I'll leave myself open to temptations. I will make sure not to, go out of my way in ways that aren't fair. I'll play by the rules. I say I want to go, I put a tweet out there, I want to go in the corn maze. If I go in the corn maze, I should find my way out. I shouldn't cheat. And I didn't cheat, so. But now being out, I'm like, how do I give people clues? How do I shout and give people clues on how to get out without the people who made the game getting pissed at me for it? I have to guide. I can't say, take a left, take a right, go forward. I have to say, clue number 3 is near you, or something like that. I'm learning how to do that. I think your ideas can help bridge the huge gaps between generations. We need that chance to hear each other's thoughts and opinions. I really appreciate that. That is so huge. To avoid, to run towards the correlation and communication within family, right? To reestablish family. That's what we need, is a bridge between generations. And millennials are perfect for that right now, because we understand the internet, but at the same time, we're young enough to feel that youth. We're old enough to recognize, our elders. I, growing up, always got along with the older folk more than I did with the younger folk. Always. I've now come to a point of maturity and education, though, that I'm unpalatable to most people, period. Even if I play by the rules, they can tell that I'm like the big fish in the small pond. And what I used to think was, because this was based on what I was told, is that being the big fish in the small pond, but I wasn't told big fish, small pond. So how do I say this? I'm going too quick. I was told, people just aren't going to like you. That's just how it is. When you're succeeding, people just don't like you. And, when you're trying to gain your success, people are going to try to, it's because you're better than that. No, I'm pretty sure they recognize that you decided to quit, and that they are disappointed that you are not fulfilling your potential and you are there messing with them. That you could have gone further and you didn't. Or you could have waited up for them and still gotten where you wanted to be, but you decided to leave them behind just for a little extra. But that extra, it could be like a poison. So my example of that is having Kate in my life. God's honest truth, when I left Pennsylvania, snap of the finger. You guys know me, I couldn't have done that. I think there's a lot of really intelligent people who knew that I would not be able to leave her behind for her sake. God, some people sure know how to play the game. They didn't win, though, because I actually turned around and care about the woman. And that's where they counted me out. They thought I was a narcissist like them. No, I legitimately care about another human life. Uh-oh. Now what? What wrench are they going to throw in the machine now? I don't know. But, I'm here with Kate, and I care about her a lot, and I'm loving her, and we're doing good. It's still a little spooky because, I'm like, I want to care about her, but I also don't want to get too close just in case, right? Because there's always that chance. We're working on that. But yeah, having that bridge, and that's where Kate does come into the conversation. Is she's brought an air of youth to my life that I never had, because she was very immature and I was overly mature. Like, I had too much on my plate. She didn't have enough, and her and I found a way to just get a good amount on both our plates. And I think I still have I have a little too much. Like, I'm doing a little extra work and I don't need to. So at my job, I have found the position that I like, and I've found a good equilibrium. So I'm in a department that I like, and I'm doing something that I like. And I think I'm going to just stick to that. Like, I'm not going to try to get promoted. I'm not going to try to move up in the I'm not going to be like, vroom. I'm going to keep my part-time job, and I'm just going to do it. And that's going to be it. And then I put my energy into lateral moves. So, and I recognize that the level of stress that I have, it's going to take me time to sweat these toxins out of my body. Because for anybody that doesn't know, I used to be on mood altering medication. I've had my head messed with pretty bad by people who understand psychology a hell of a lot. And I'm going to have to put a lot of work in to regain my status of health. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to give myself some time. During a time when people say, you don't deserve any more time, I'm going to give myself time. Because I know that I want to get better, right? And that I can get better. So when you look at a guy like Donald Trump, do we know whether or not he is over some of the things that we've heard him say, right? Like that, like he said on camera about women sometimes. People are saying like, I'm like that. And I'm like, not even close. What I can tell you is I do have my stances on how the natural world works. And those stances are based in science, not based in opinion or religion. And my background in religion does not warp or bias my viewpoint, because those viewpoints are based in the actual evidence in science, reading from both sides and not nitpicking, but actually taking the evidence. That's still going to piss a lot of people off. And it may be against certain parts of the American culture, but it's in the populated part, right? It might have the popular vote, but not the congressional vote. And the congressional vote is what counts. And the popular vote matters, but I mean, the popular vote was invented to get it as a survey. And that's pretty much what it is a survey to see who people like. And sometimes they intentionally choose people that the audience doesn't like. So you want to win the election, got to be more interested in the congressional vote than the popular vote. You got to do the right thing because that's who they want. And the right thing isn't the perfect thing. And that's where the human part comes in. We don't forgive one another, is we're all human. Don't expect perfection, especially when there's the media, where you can say something or do something and it's on the internet forever. And then someone can go and look at that and think they're looking at the same person they're looking at now. And it just isn't how it is. So, because time passes and people who get stuck in time, they miss out. So progress. And progressing, it doesn't come from using somebody else to do it. You cannot take from someone else their time, because time is a measurement. You can stall someone else. You can cost them time. You can make it harder for them to move forward. But when they're putting twice the effort into moving forward, and you're putting 1 time's effort into your own moving forward and 1 time's effort into holding them back, you guys are just moving forward at the same speed. But you're twice as tired, and eventually you'll give up and they'll move on. And that's just how life works. So what we have to ask ourselves, is Donald Trump putting any effort into holding other people back? I don't know that. If he's not, he's going to win. If he is, he's going to win. Big fish, small pond. It's not going to be good. That's what I'm going to say, is it's going to. I'm not really afraid for me, because God has my life and I know that I'm safe and I'm okay. God always has my life. At the same time, I recognize as a man on this earth that I got to work forward. So my fear comes in because I'm lazy. And I'm like, I'm going to have to put in a lot of work to power through this next 4 years. It's definitely worth it, and there's plenty of big people right now who are complaining because they've gotten in their big chairs and they're sitting down and they don't want to do any more work. But Donald Trump stepping in, everybody has to work harder, and most of us don't want to. I'm going to put in the work that I have to for other people, but I have learned from Donald Trump, wait a second, I should probably work for myself a little bit too. I'm just not going to work for myself as much as he does. So I'll put in some effort for me, and I'll put in some effort for others. And I'll try to stand somewhere in the middle because I want those wings to hold me up. Past 8 years Bush, past 8 years Obama. Isn't that interesting? You know what, guys, I would love to hear your context. You're hearing so much from me. What is Gary? Give me a little bit of your background or your interest in this. What intrigues you about this conversation? In reference to you, forget me being the centerpiece. And for anyone who thinks I'm a narcissist, I'm not. I really have been the centerpiece of people's conversations for years, and it was my only world. So I kind of became like that. And I don't like that. I don't want to be like that. And I'm working very hard on finding an equilibrium. And it has a lot more to do with it that if it's going to be true, I have to believe it myself. I remember my roots. I remember my soul. I remember my heart. And I'm powering on. I'm powering on. It's very important to understand different practices within the way we live. So whether you were raised Christian or not, it can behoove you to understand different viewpoints of practice. So I have certain practices in my life that I draw from different belief systems. And I don't pick and choose for my convenience. I pick and choose for survival. So in my heart, I believe in my soul. And for all intents and purposes, I am Christian. And if that's going to change your opinion on me, that's up to you. But I am a very open-minded person. So I'd really like it if you treated me at least similar to the way you treat yourself well. And if you don't treat yourself well, we probably won't get along. Every single person makes mistakes. Those who don't see their own faults can truly forgive others. Yeah, and I never learned that before. That's when you recognize your own faults, it gives you an opportunity to forgive other people. Guys, these are novel ideas to me. I didn't have a father. I didn't have a mother. Okay? I didn't have someone who taught me these things. I got a minimal education for twice the work for free. And I'm grateful for that. I'll take it over nothing. But realistically, I do agree with some people who say I deserved to have it normal. But realistically, my parents made their choices. The people I was raised with we all made our choice. And I made my choices too. What I have learned from Kate is I'm not going to take responsibility for choices that I made up to, say, 14 years old. So if you look in the Jewish tradition, or you look in, you have your quinceañera, and you have your bar mitzvah. And realistically, when you're coming into, we're going to keep this raw and simple. When you're coming into puberty, you're an adult. You're becoming an adult. That's when adulthood starts. And no matter what American standard would create or how much we slow people down, you're an adult at that point. Now in America, to be legally adult is a different point. So, you have to respect the laws for that reason. And if we're going to get into that kind of conversation, you guys do want to know my standpoint. My standpoint is to respect the law, use your common sense, and don't weaponize that, because that's messed up. Regardless, you don't weaponize it. There's just certain things that are off limits, in my opinion. And if you really want the system to work, be true to the system. If it's not working for you, why are you here? So, where was I? As I touch on something touchy like that. So I'm not going to sit here and take responsibility for choices that were made in my life for me before the age of, say, 14, 15, 16. Good afternoon. How are you? Good to see you, Hockey. And I know that's common sense to you guys, and you hear my voice going into that space, and I hypnotize, man, people. Man, whoever the hell did this to me is burning in hell. That's all I have to say. Like, if there's a hell, they are so screwed. If there's not a hell, I know they're living in it now. You made the wrong decision doing what you did to me. Where was I? I will understand why it was necessary one day, but it's my belief that the timing was off. I'm pretty good with timing. All right. I'll be all right. Give me a second, guys. I got this. If I want this, I gotta earn it. If I want it the way I want it, I have to earn it. My bosses always give me a minute to regather my thoughts. So. Where was I? Yeah, I grew up. And some of you will be able to relate to this, so maybe you could take it for yourself. Growing up, I felt like I was responsible for my choices as a child. But what I mean is not just my choices. When my choices were so heavily influenced by those around me, and they used psychological tactics to keep me in line, and then called that disciplining somebody. You can't. This is so important. This is so freaking important. We want this bridge. If you want this bridge, you want to understand your kids, I can help. I can help. Stop shutting out your conscience. Call me your canary if you want to. If you ever watch The Boys, season 2, call me your canary. This is important. It'll teach you more about how to get along with your kids. You may have been taught one way. You were lied to. That's just how it is. Get over it and listen, because your relationship with your kids matters to you. I do know it. And I know that I will be willing to listen to that middle generation on how to do better with my kids. I will. Because I see how much awesome parents are missing out on their kids because they made mistakes, and they're like, I thought I did good. And it's like, you did good. It's just, you got to do even better because the world progresses and you fall behind because you're getting older and there's nothing you can do about it. It takes a village. It takes a village. You can't do it alone. Psychologically, we are made, Dunbar's number, 150 people. We are made to grow as a community. It is impossible for you to get there on your own. Anybody who says they're doing it on their own is a lying sack of poop. Just saying. Anybody who's saying that they didn't do it alone, they didn't say they did it with a community. They said, I didn't do it alone. Inside, they believe they did do it on their own. That's psychology for you. We're doing it with a community. Hi, John Durbin. We're doing it with help. Sometimes parents don't want to admit when they need help with their own children. Okay? I had an uncle growing up who was disgustingly authoritarian and very rude to me as a child. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because may have done it poorly, but taught me some lessons. And the lessons I learned were, okay, well, what's the intention? The intention is good, delivery is terrible. Sounds much like me. And we usually get along the least with the people we can relate to the most, and we will step outside of our boundary to try and help people that we can relate to the most, even if we don't like them. And sometimes we try to help them by hurting them. And that doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It doesn't work. It's last resort. And the people who take it first resort usually lose their family. And even if they can keep them under wraps, eventually it's gonna tear them apart. So learn from me, because I might be younger, but I learned from a middle child, and I know a thing or two about it. So, and people don't want to hear it. Deflection. No, I don't tell me I did poorly with my kids. I don't need a community. I'm going to shut everybody else out. And I'm going to tell the internet that our conversation was private, but it's really not. I'm going to use the internet as a venting mechanism when really the entire internet is sucking up my feelings, thoughts, and actions and flipping it in a way to make you a human product. It is made to be addictive, and you're falling for it. I'm trying to help, and you're trying to shut me off, which makes you the idiot. And I'm not backing down on that. I love your dumbass, and I'm going to leave it there. You can lose your kids all you want. But when you said bridge the gap, you gave me a purpose. Okay, my friend over there who said that, you gave me a purpose here. And I'm passionate when I have purpose. I want to be that bridge. I want to help. People say they don't want my help. I'm damn good at it. I'm so good at it. Just because I'm younger than you? Is that really going to be? Is that really going to be when you have somebody on the internet that can help you to communicate better with your children, you're going to ignore me just because I'm younger and you don't like my delivery. It's the best I've got. And you don't have anybody else trying to help you. They're just trying to suck you up into their ecosystem. There's no way for it to be as much as I'd like it to be. It's the way the tool is engineered. It's a business. So if you want to go learn from somebody else, you do that. You do that. Just understand they don't care about you near as much as I do. And I do actually care about, because why? Because it provides something to me. That is selfish. You're providing me with purpose. That is selfish. But recognize now, what you didn't years ago, the purpose matters a lot more to me than the paycheck. I get the paycheck either way. Too bad. Like, too bad for you. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change how much I care. It just means I'm getting paid. And you don't have anybody else that cares like that. So be it. So I'll offer a bit of advice. Be patient with your kids. More patient than you are. And recognize that sometimes maybe you gave them a little too much leeway. And also maybe sometimes you were a little too strict. And last but not least, you're not perfect. Which means two things at the same time. Forgive yourself and take credit for messing up. You know, a little bit of ownership. Because there's a lot of adults out there right now who are telling me to take ownership. And I almost took double ownership today. I was like, wait a second. I did. So I will come on here and vent like everybody else. And I'll try to help on a personal level, because while people tell me, don't take it personal, personality makes reality. It's our character in society. So, and while you might think you talking about Kate right now is what's upsetting me, it's that you don't care about yourself. That is what bothers me. It does bother me that you don't like you so much that you'll try to hurt me. You're not hurting me with anything other than not caring about you. That is what's bothering me. That's what's hurting me. Because I care about myself so much and I am so happy. So to see other people hate their own guts that much, it blows my mind that it exists. Because I have never hated myself that much, nor will I ever. And it doesn't make me a better person. What it does make me is someone who's willing to make these sacrifices for you, and then you turn around and tell me that's gaslighting. Because I get a paycheck. Because I get paid. I am definitely not getting paid enough for this. And I'm actually, this is free right now. It's free right now. Guess, like I told you, my point would come true. Well, here's my point. I care. I'm still not getting paid. And here I sit, barking at a wall. It's not as stupid as you think. You guys just don't care enough. And you think that you care a lot more than you really do because your feelings tell you that that's how it is. And that's just not how it works. So we get to the root of the issue. And oftentimes when we get to the root of the issue, people leave, they get angry, they shut it off, and they give the power to inappropriately negative people who are destroying our country. If you like the land we live in, respect yourself, respect me, have an adult conversation. I'm being the adult in the room, and I'm waiting for the adults to be the adults and not just demand respect without putting in the work with me, because I'm a human being. And you don't get to tell me because you're older than me or you have a degree or this or that you deserve for me to respect you in every way on the planet like you're God. If you are the professional in healthcare, I will respect you in healthcare. I might not take your advice about a family. If you're raising a healthy family, I will probably take your advice about family, but I might not take your advice about business. family is something I do really well. Really well. I do family so well. I'm going to Donald Trump this shit as I go off into curse land. I do family so well that people thought I was starting a cult on the internet. That's how well I care about people. So now that I recognize the business half of it, I will make sure to not leave my feelings at the door, but make sure to remember that we're not family. And as much as I would like that to be true, there was a day where your kingdom was fighting my kingdom. And our brains remember that. So we'll learn to get along. There's also a competition, and I accept and recognize that. But at the end of the day, to me, I've already won all this regardless. And I do know that. Like, it's over. I'm good. Like, for as much as I want out of it, I've got it. Rest of my life, I'm good. The next concern, how do I give back? It was never about money. I've won and it's over, and I care about you. So if I never make a dime for the rest of my career, I still consider it a career, because to me, career and passion go together. That builds a business. And I still care about you as much as, when you put in the guilt system before freedom. You told me that we're going to entrap you and enslave you, and then if you do well, we'll consider you a citizen and then not even consider you a human. I'm human, and you made a big mistake. I won't be retaliating because I don't have time, but I'm going to forgive, never forget, and move on. And you're going to get the hell out of my way while I do it. And if you want help, then maybe some of you should start listening if you want to. And if not, that's okay too. That's okay. I'd rather shoot the crap with you than be fighting, because it puts all of us in a survival space mentally, which creates a fear-based mentality, which makes us products to the environment. We end up enslaved by the product when we're supposed to be enjoying the tool. So let's enjoy the tool and not fight with one another, because everybody loses when we do it. I don't care what the agenda is of anybody around me. I know that when I'm in a fear-based place and you're in a fear-based place, we all lose. So I'd rather be unpopular and everybody be cool about it than all of us lose anyway. Whether I'm popular and people like me, but we're all emotionally charged, or I'm unpopular and people hate me and we're all emotionally charged. I would rather let go of the emotionally charged and have a conversation, because that way I win and so do you. And before, I was only going to get half of it. Whether I was hated or loved, I was going to get famous. But I was not mature or disciplined. So it was a lose. I win. You win. Let's win. Because I have a feeling I'm talking to a lot of winners who may not want to admit that they have to do more work if they want to win with me. You do. And if I want to win with you, I'm going to have to do a lot more work. But I'm not going to do your work for you. You may have gotten used to being the boss, but you're not the boss of me. And I'm not the boss of you or Kate or anybody else. So there is one boss in the company I work for and a whole lot of managers. A manager is not a boss. And if they think they're a boss, they're a bad manager. You're a manager. You are made to manage, not be the boss. So if you guys want to manage me, I'm open to that. Seriously, I really am, because some of you are going to understand better than I do. But you're going to have to be a good manager if I'm going to trust you as a manager and not decide to change my hours to part-time and only put in as much work as I have to because I see that the company is capsizing. And I don't want to be involved in that sinking ship as I'm miserable every day of my life. I don't think this ship is capsizing. But I think it's afraid that it just might. So let's work together to enjoy what we have here. Because I'm not talking about America, I'm talking about Twitter. Twitter might be on a low here. But as a human investor, I'd like to say that it's going to be on the way up. And that I made a mature decision to stick it out. So bank on this with me. Because it works. And we can chat. And you can learn a hell of a lot from letting me live for a pretty low price. I got people basing their entire platform on me. And I welcome you to do it. You want to siphon me for content? You go for it. Call me call me a well. But I'm no Jesus. But it's good to know, because imitation is flattery. And I got people imitating me when I'm sitting on the bottom. So I must be doing something right. All right, so as the narcissists come out, what that tells me is that I'm being narcissistic. That's what that tells me. Because what I've learned about social media is something I knew a long time ago, that something I didn't know. I didn't know this. And this guy, it's the little things. The devil's in the details. The devil's always in the details. And it's the one thing I didn't think of. As I know all about the algorithm adapts to who we are. And here I sit. Now, to my friend here, thank you for listening and talking with me here. And for those of you who are attacking me like psychopathic, I mean, there's smart people that are doing the craziest, most toxic things. That must be how I became. It must be. That's how the algorithm, it's common sense. It's how the algorithm works. If you came into my life, I must have been messing up that bad. Oh man, my skin is crawling. And it's like, I know it too. I know it. But I mean, there's no excuses. Guys, just understand and accept yourself, forgive yourself. No, that's the next step, is forgiving yourself, knowing that when you step out into the unknown, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes, like having a kid. When you have a baby, you're gonna make mistakes. And you gotta forgive yourself, but you also have to take ownership for those mistakes, don't you? And I'm pretty sure most of the parents who want me to take ownership, I already have. You're asking for extra because you don't want to take responsibility for the mistakes you made in my life. Especially when the mistakes you made in my life were far worse than the ones I made in yours. Welcome to parenthood. You taught me how to do it better. And you don't want to accept that I've now grown beyond you. I don't want to leave you behind, but whenever you attack me, you're gonna get blocked. And you're not coming back this time. I'm consistent. I've become a man. And I'm staying consistent with what I say. So be careful with what you say if you want to be in my life. As far as Kate's life, that is Kate's life. And she likes being in mine, and I like being in hers. And we don't like having you in ours. And if you'd like to be in ours, you're going to treat us a hell of a lot better. That's a demand. I demand that respect because I have given you your apologies. I'm standing up as a man and I'm giving you content and I'm talking to you. I've earned it based on my standards, which are even higher than yours. The unrealistic standards you have, they're narcissistic and they are based on your own personal belief systems. They are not based on logic, facts, and I don't mess up what's in the dictionary just to try and lie and get my way. I'm doing even better what I learned from the people in my environment. And now I'm getting disrespected for it instead of respected. That's narcissism. And it's a shame that we have to miss out on so many people we love. And that's not my choice. That's a choice we make together. That's a choice we make together. You know, that's what couples do. That's what couples do. And I'm not the major influence of that choice. We're equal. Man and woman, we are equal. Try it sometime instead of telling me that it doesn't work when it's definitely working. We may not be equal in the way of how we work biologically, but we have different roles. Our brains work a little bit different, not a crazy amount different, but a little bit different. and we work together, and we use the way that our minds work together. And I don't punish her for not being a man, and she doesn't punish me for not being a woman. We get along. That's called equality. So we're taking this system that we are taught about, that so many people are doing it poorly, and we're doing it well, and it's working. And I get really upset and really charged and triggered when I see people I care about who think, okay, we're going to keep him in our life by being mean to him. It doesn't work anymore. I've grown the thick skin. I'm done. You're out. You be nice to me or you're out. And that's a demand, because I have learned boundaries, and I have learned that it is okay for me to have a security team and a wall around my house for people who love me but can't seem to respect my privacy. I love everybody. I do. I love you dearly. I do. You're being crazy. Just please see a doctor, because you're the one being crazy, not me. What would be crazy would be for me to come on the internet and cry and cry and cry about what I'm getting out of it, instead of just figuring out how to use it. That's a little crazy. And I've been there. I've learned my lesson, and I'm doing my best. So thank you for tuning in to today's rant, brought to you by water, because I can't currently afford anything else. Oh, I'm in a good mood. It's all good. See, she loves him. That's why she's exactly where she is. She's free. That's up to Kate to say, though. I do appreciate that defense. It's up to Kate. Jim's a real deal, not fake fools like the one. All right. Here's what I also learned. So I also learned that I don't need to go to HR over a disagreement with a coworker or a manager. You know, I could just let it go and manage and have the conversation. So, I mean, I did. Like, I ended up doing that second time around. I made the first mistake, and I'm like, well, I probably screwed myself pretty hard. But second time around, I was like, it's more mature mistake. More mature. Either way, it's a mistake. Because you can't avoid mistakes when you're in a realm that's brand new to you. So that's what I did instead. And it worked, right? It's just like common sense. Just try to have a conversation. So I did. I'm realizing that on this platform, they may not be my friends, and they are technically competitors. And for all intents and purposes, when you are an independent contractor, you're not an employee, so they're not technically your coworkers. But if we can be mature and respectful enough to treat one another as coworkers and not oust one another, then it could work well. There are a lot of people right now who, you know, they have like fake beef and they're doing all that. I mean, it's so fake. Just stop doing that, you know? That's my opinion. You're muddying the industry. So like that I'll say, because that's trying to keep other independent contractors responsible. We're not coworkers. And that gives me the freedom to say it. And I like that. But the most responsible thing to do with that freedom is to flip it and say, okay, if I'm going to interact with others regardless, which I'm gonna, I should choose faith over fear. The fear thing is, hey, don't do that. The faith thing is, because I don't understand their choices. The faith thing is, when you're talking about the Paul brothers, okay, talking about, Logan and Jake, is we all make our choices. And the most amount of respect I can give is the respect of, from what I see, is that Jake Paul was like he was like under his brother's shadow for so long. And then Logan made his mistake and Jake stepped up. And now Jake's more popular. And now Logan's more respected, but Jake's more popular. And he may not, I don't know if he makes more money, but he's definitely worth more in the American economy. Whereas Logan, based on the way he makes his content, isn't so internationally recognized regardless. So like people know him around the world, but realistically, Jake Paul is finding his way into that. So some people take the way of the snake, some people take the way of the eagle, some the rabbit. You know, you could take different viewpoints. And some people take that into a religious perspective or a pagan perspective, but it's just naturalism. Okay, so like you have martial arts, okay? I practiced martial arts growing up. And you have moves that are based on animals. It's the same way in society. You can base your persona on like animals, and like you can look at things differently to decide what's my best move right now. But to choose an identity based on an animal is then on an animal other than the human species is de-evolution. So, and yes, I can talk about all this in the same thing, and it means the same thing. So, like when I look at Logan Paul, he's taken the way of the eagle. And I look at Jake, and he's taken the way of the snake. Okay, so some of us slither our way into a situation. Not all snakes are bad, all right? If you're Christianized, maybe you believe that way. But if you have a worldview, and it doesn't mean that you, like, be Christian, but realize that outside the Christian persona, there are people who don't look at the world in a Christian way. So that if they enact a snake, it doesn't make them bad. They don't think like you do. They don't think the way you do. So their brain's going to work different, which means even if they're behaving like a snake, they may not see that as bad. There's parts of the world where being, sly is a good thing. It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it ultimately good. But recognize before you judge someone's intentions that the things they're doing may not be based in anything you understand. So you can recognize them as a threat or an enemy to you, but they're not really a threat or an enemy to you until they see it that way. Like if they know, hey, I can get something from this person, and they have this limited viewpoint, well, now maybe what can I get from them? So a little bit of something I picked up along the way. Sometimes viewing somebody as an enemy can make them your enemy. So Logan and Jake, like they have their place in the ecosystem, just like I do. My place is kind of being the outcast. And sometimes we have to accept those roles if we want to be a part of it at all. I have to be the guy that's in a department where I probably won't progress, but I don't really want that as much as I used to right now. I may want it 10 years down the road. I may work for it 10 years down the road, but it has become something that I'm not bloodthirsty for anymore. I'm a little hungry. And, this brings me a little bit. So I try to bring that extra value. If I want that paycheck, but I want the medium paycheck, so I'll bring the medium value. But that's what I want right now because, okay, here's why. And I'm explaining myself it's not an excuse. And I'm trying to help you guys understand why it's so important to progress slowly. Whereas I thought that was stupid before. I thought, no, you want that quick. You want the quick. No, you do want it slow. I promise. I could make an awesome broadcast and be popular. Like right now, guys, I have the skills for it. Boom, I could just blow it up. Then I could have falsely the police knocking on my door 14 times a day for no good reason. And it's not technically in those people's control, and whatever it might be. But the climate states, this is where I'm at. Don't break that status quo. Like if I don't have to, right? If there are other ways I can grow in my life, why break the status quo? Alter it. Help it. But going 135 is just going to get somebody hurt. So in a world without stop signs, we have to stop ourselves. We have to slow ourselves down in a world with freedoms. Or we might just lose them. Hi, Jim John. Heck no. They make a mountain out of a molehill. What's that? Which one? I am going. I'm having fun at this point. And I hope you guys are all right. I hope you guys feel included. I'm not like super bulldozing. I mean, it's my broadcast regardless, so no matter what I do, I'm not bulldozing. But you are here, and I'm trying to fulfill my promises to you as best as I can without losing my enjoyment. You know, I don't want to bite the apple too much or get too high on my own supply. I didn't see the debate, Gary. I didn't. See, to me, politics is like a lot of entertainment. It's like made to entertain nowadays, and I don't find it entertaining. So like, what I take into my mind, I really try to avoid things that are deceptive, because whatever we take in is oftentimes what we put out, and that's part of why this became the ultimate tool for me. Because as I became I kind of like. I mean, I'm looking at myself, so I kind of legitimately did it to myself. Other people were involved, massively involved. But I do get to sit back, and where people thought giving me the credit would have been bad for me, or like, oh, look, we can pin something on him. No, it's technically not me, but me taking the credit, even though I wouldn't even have the legal credit, it's like I get to learn from it. So nobody took anything from me. They just reminded me that I had extra that I could learn from. And that's what I did. So the debate, I did not see. I did not see the debate. I'm too busy debating with myself. I heard it was really funny. There's a lot of memes out there. Moho, throwing parties during COVID, just they do stupid stuff that's horrible influence on kids. Let's try to keep it positive. Let's put ourselves in the heads of the kids, right? You said bridge the gap. Let me help you bridge the gap. I have an awesome woman in my life, taught me how to play devil's advocate, but I'm not going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to play human's advocate. So let's think about those kids. They are mostly separated from their families. They derive most of their satisfaction from the friends around them and their social acceptance and that paycheck. And any of the adults in their life are providing them with massive amounts of things that keep them subdued and satisfied and out of other people's way so that they can, make that money. So we can hate those kids or realize that those kids they're a lot more lost than you think. And judging them is pushing them further. Being upset with them for their choices is pushing them further, because most of you probably never had that level of influence in your life. So like what they have there, they don't necessarily realize the damage. They don't want to admit maybe that they've bit the apple, or, just to use that metaphor. Please forgive them, and don't make excuses for them, but forgive them, but don't make excuses for their choices. So you can come home for Christmas dinner. Seriously, right now, step into your heart. I'll invite you. Step into your heart, and I'll make this like a Jesus podcast. Step into your heart and call up your kid that's famous or rich or whatever, or estranged, and say, you can come home. But whatever their vice is, you say, you can come home. Just make sure when you come home that you put me before your vice. So if I had my family right now, I wouldn't even go home. Right now, I wouldn't even go home, because I'm smart enough to know it's not safe for me. But if at any point someone would have just said, are you coming home for Christmas dinner? And invited me. Hey, come home for Christmas dinner. Just, are you willing to leave the phone off while you're home? That's all it would have taken. I didn't get that once. And maybe a lot of you are look at that. I lost 20 viewers. Why? Because it's mostly middle-aged parents that don't want to hear that somebody could have been through something harder than them. You're the adult now, right? You're middle-aged, so now you've been through it all. No, you haven't. Suck it up. You don't want to hear it, right? You get to say it, but you don't want to hear it. You'll dish it, but nobody gets to give it back to you. That's narcissism. If you're going to leave my broadcast and give me crap for trying to be the adult in the situation because I know how to parent your kid better, well, they are your kid. That's right. Good luck. Good luck. I've been through it. I've been through it. I know you want this from me. So this is how I reverse engineer the psychological tactics the haters used on me. I will reverse engineer that with the audience. and I'll win you back. And I won't use those tactics, no. Guys, they built those things into you. All I'm going to do is offer you a bit of advice, and I'm not going to take any control whatsoever, because I don't have to. If I understand how their mechanisms work, if I understand how their tools work, I can use them as tools. That's wrong. How do I say this? They built a train. This is a better analogy. They built a train in your mind with these haptic tactics where you're back and forth. Built a train in your mind. And like you have to stay on that track. But it's a train wreck. I don't have to be a train wreck to put the train back on the tracks. Okay, so what causes train wrecks? Obstacles. All I have to do is take the obstacle out of the way. And I'm pretty good at that. I'm so far ahead, it doesn't take me much energy to help that driver out of his car because he's too arrogant, to just, hey, the car's not moving. I can help him get out of the car and move it off the tracks. Or I can help fix the tracks because we're far enough ahead to fix the tracks. It's not my job to do that, but I will get paid for doing it. And it only takes up like a half hour of my time. And I also want to do it, and it makes me feel good to do it. And I need that because it's going to make me feel good about my journey, which we need that positive gratification in order to continue on our journey. So I'll turn around and I'll fix those tracks. They aren't using their platform for betterment. Now that's just my opinion. Oh, they believe they are though. That's the important part. If we're going to really forgive somebody and put it behind us and say, hey, that's my kid or that's somebody I care about and they're making poor choices, it's to get a better understanding of the psychology of what's going on with them. So they don't know that. I promise you, I do understand them better than you do. I promise that they do not know how bad for them the things that they are doing are. They don't know it. They don't want to hear it. They're numb. They're upset. And they are just as narcissistic as some of us. They're hurt. They're hurt. Okay? And they're using booze and friends and all this stuff to shove it down and then get famous and rich and tell their parents to screw off. Okay? And they don't realize that it's either at the detriment of their life or their soul. I'm not going to speak on the soul part because I'm not God and I can't judge it. You can go to church for that. What I will say is that it does cost them more in their life and in the lives of others than they know. I'm on board with that. Then they know. You're not going to beat it into them, which brings us full circle back to an hour and a half ago or however long ago, where I said I was going to say, punishment is not discipline. That's something a lot of new age parents, a lot of traditionalist parents don't want to hear, but it's the truth. Okay, I learned it from a very good set of parents that taught me how to raise a family. Punishment is not discipline. You can't discipline a child. It doesn't work that way. The brain doesn't work that way. If you understand how the brain works and you're willing to just accept the science and give it a try, I promise it will work. I promise. Try it. Just try it. Let go of the idea that, and especially when you live it your whole life, it's almost impossible to agree with. I get that. But punishment is not discipline. Punishment is punishment. Punishment is something that we do to let our kids know, our kids, children, that what they're doing is bad for them. Once they're past the age of 14, 15, 16, their brain works differently, which means they need a different form of punishment. They have to discipline themselves. That is not your job. You cannot do it. And if they chose not to become disciplined, it is not your fault. Now, if you are an undisciplined person, if you were undisciplined in your life while they were young, you influenced them. That makes it more your fault than theirs. Once they become older, it's put on them. Oftentimes as adults, it seems from my outside viewpoint that parents figure that out. That by the time the kid is 15, 16, they're like, crap, I forgot that I'm not an adult without a kid until they're 15, 16. And then they're like, I messed this up. Now what? And so you try to relive, like they're a kid, like they're younger again. And they're not. They're just not. So there's nothing you could do about that. But now that they're an adult, maybe you can do something. Maybe you can step back and say, sorry for the things you actually did wrong? How about for the things you didn't do? How about that? How about for the things you could have done that you didn't? Takes swallowing a lot of pride to do that. It benefits you far more than you think. You might think you're giving the kid leverage, or they're going to fight with you, or they're going to use it, right? They're not your enemy. They're your kid. They came out of you. They came out of you. If you're the woman, right? They are the last person. The last person on the planet that's going to use that as a weapon against you. You're paranoid. If your child is the last one you apologize to, that's paranoia. They came out of you. They're going to be the first one to accept your apology. You're going to let it off your chest, and you're going to cry for a freaking year. And you're going to get over it and let it go. And you're going to feel like a better person. You're going to be a better person. You're going to like yourself more. You're going to like them more. And 90% of me saying this isn't even about the money that I could make off of it. I'm actually enjoying it more because I'm not. And I'm really hoping it creates more of a bridge for you. Because I'm giving this practically away for free. Because I'm not giving you anything. I'm just talking to you about common sense. And we can really lose common sense when we get angry. It becomes very easy to lose common sense when we get upset. Common sense would say that the likelihood of people listening to me right now is slim. I'm going to do it anyway because I'm James Saroka. And sometimes I'm a little slow. Sometimes I forget that most of the people that are watching might just be making fun of me and actually believing I'm wrong, which makes me sick to my stomach. Or maybe I'm wrong. And I'm really, as I swipe down to this 11 comments, I am nervous as hell. But I'm really hoping somebody liked what I just said and it did something for their life. I really hope so. Because I really hope so. But I can only hope because I can't assume. I don't know. And we all have fear of the unknown. But when you care enough, you'll step out into the unknown for your children, for your family, for your friends, for the people you love and care about. That's what I'm doing. If I make a paycheck off of it, it's better than not getting it at all. Without the internet, without me being here, you wouldn't get it regardless. And I could demonetize my platforms, but you know what? I want to pay my bills with this. It's not going to change my agendas near as much as you think. It just won't. I said no to free fame because I didn't trust it, because there's no such thing as free fame. So I think I made a pretty mature choice. But that's just me thinking. It's not an assumption. I'm thinking. I thought it through, and I made the mature choice to step back. To make his own content, I don't know much about either, though. Logan also did the suicide. Yeah, that was a thing. You look tired. I am tired. I enjoyed a good broadcast. I put my passion into it, and I feel pretty good right now. I gave a whole lot, and that makes me feel good. So, yeah, I am tired. I am. I've been on broadcast. Oh. Okay, so I can't press that button. That doesn't work. I am tired because I've been broadcasting for about 2 hours. And that's a lot. And I used to broadcast nonstop. And when I did that, I was ignoring my feelings. I was full of caffeine. And I was driven by survival. So now that I'm comfortable and I'm safe, and I have food in my belly and a job, I can give you just enough, and I don't have to beg. But even when I did beg, I gave you a lot. And I only wanted a little bit, and you thought that I wanted the world from you, because that's what you felt from other people. I didn't want the world from you. We're on a platform. That platform pays people. You can give tips through Periscope and through Twitter. You can give tips. That's fine. They're tips. $10.99, that's a form of payment for a legal job. It's not begging as a grifter. It's just not. Also, if I'm making money on YouTube, That's a profession. If you don't recognize that as a profession, you're not in the 21st century. It is a different form of things that you understand. There was a day when grifting was legal. In most places, it's no longer legal. Okay, I'm on board with that. When I make tips on Twitter and YouTube, that is a verifiable 1099 income. Please stay with me, my middle-aged friends that I love very much. And I'm only talking to you like you're stupid because you've been stupid and you don't want to admit that you've been stupid. You've been stupid. I've been stupid too for listening to you. It's a 1099. That is a legal document that says I made money on this platform. It does not matter where it came from. It doesn't. What matters is how I made it. And I made it legitimately. It's just that way. I was homeless. People wanted to help. That is legal. It's not intentionally homeless. That's crazy. Boy, am I charged on it. Boy, am I charged. I care about you learning this lesson. That's why I bring it up. And if you want to violently react, that's your prerogative. But all you're doing is trying to snuff out a human life to ignore that. All you have to do is learn a few things. That's all you got to do. Just got to learn a couple of things. I don't want to look you in the eye. I don't want to look you in the eye. I don't. That's the eyebrows. You see the eyebrows? The eyebrows don't mean what you think they mean. They mean, why are people this slow? That's what it means. It means I love you and I care about you, but darn it, are you kidding me? Come on. Or like trigger me on purpose, like you already know. Oh, great that you already know that. You might know it, but you're not practicing it. And knowing it is not the same as putting it in implementation. Great, you have your 4-8-12-year degree. Great. But you messed up your kids. So don't sit here telling me that you know how to parent me just because you have a degree at college. You guys did take over my life. You took over my life and you screwed it up. So quit telling me you're a good parent. I would beg to differ. Because I trusted most of you. And that was a big mistake. And now it's on me. So I'll deal with it. I'll just deal with it. That's how it is. That's life. I made the mistake of trusting a lot of you. About how to take care of myself. That having physical things mattered more than my mind. When I knew that it didn't. They both matter. But darn it, I was right. Your mind matters a lot more than the physical things you have. And if you're miserable because you don't like what I have to say, all you did was teach me something, because now I have both. And you taking it away from me just makes you a terrible person. And if you want to continue down that road, it's your soul. That's my belief system. And if you disrespect my belief system, that's foul play. Whether we're on the street or we're at work, you're not allowed to talk trash on my religion. You're not. You have freedom of speech. But I mean, I have freedom of religion. And when you attack my religion enough, that's suppressing my religion. Just so you know, Scientology exists. I learned this the other day. Okay, that's a belief system where people believe in some pretty unique things. And it's a very popular religion in our country, right or wrong. But we have freedom of religion. My belief system in my life, I treat it like my religion. The things I believe in, that makes up my religion, my thought process. When you disrespect my thought process, you are disrespecting my religion. And I don't have to establish it as an organization for it to be defined in the dictionary as my religion. We can take that to court. And I would win. So put that in your heads before the next time you take me to war. Because this isn't about a competition. If you make it about a competition, You're proving that you don't care as much as you say you do. I'm not interested in the competition. Me letting you know I would win it is to discourage you from going in that direction, not to challenge you to go there. If you think I'm challenging you, you're a narcissist. I'm not going there. I'm giving you the info. I'm not giving you bait. Other people might give you bait. This isn't bait. This is, here's the facts. Suck them up, walk away. It's life. You taught me how to talk like this. You taught me how to think like this. You taught me how to feel like this. Now I bring to you the same attitude you brought to me, and I'm the narcissist. And all of a sudden you're a victim. You're going to disappear from the internet, hide your content, and talk about me behind my back, waiting for the cops to come. Criminals. Right? Common sense from the beginning. Learn my lesson. Crazies, stay on the outside. Unfortunately, I find out for the most part, there's a lot of people out there that are not healthy. And I can't make them healthy, but I'm not going to watch The Walking Dead and believe that they are zombies. So no, to most of you out there who are struggling with issues, I have issues too. And none of us are zombies. We are human. It requires education and healthcare to get better. And our country is struggling in that department. And that's just how it is. And that is something I did learn from the older generations. That sometimes that's just how it is. And I don't have the power to do something about it. I'm not going to be the big fish in a small pond. I'm going to move somewhere where I can be legitimately effective. I can go to a second world or a third world country, and the things that I know can really help them. And the things that I know here, I mean, they could help our people. But you guys don't want me for the most part, unless I'm palatable. And for me to be palatable, I'd have to be deceptive. And I say no to that because of how it affects my mind. It would break me. And I say no. So I'll go give it to people who want it. If you really want it that bad, you'll adapt to me and let me be myself. Doesn't mean you become like me. You don't have to be. I don't want you to be. I want you to be an American, a free individual. But accept me for who I am. That's the American way. All I'm doing is calling the bluff of the people who said they really want freedom. You really want freedom? Okay, be free. But don't tell me I can't be free, because that's actually suppressing my freedoms. That I can't be free because I'm different, or because I want to give something that I got here somewhere else. Why don't we think this double times over? You want what I have so bad? Why don't you think of it this way? Here's another thought for you. What I have and what I've learned in this country, I can take to another country. Those are American ideals. That's helping to Americanize another part of the world. You say we need so many people here. Everybody has a job. You're trying to tell me what my job is. I know myself. You're trying to tell me that I have to do your job better than you did so you feel good about who you are, to convince you that what you did to me was for me. I learned what I could from what you did to me, and then I let you know you're a terrible parent. And I'm moving on with my life and taking the lessons you taught me, teaching my kids and other people's kids, and not letting you raise my kids or be their grandparents. I'm not going to have my child on screen for people that are doing this kind of thing to my life. I mean, that's insane. To me, right? Those are my values, and I'm allowed to have them. I'm not going to be coerced into putting my children on camera. I'm not going to be the test subject here. And if you make me the test subject, it exposes a lot of things about the character of this country. And I don't think our country has bad character. I think there are bad people with bad character that are abusing our system. And it's my belief, based on the way the research that I've done and how our country is built, that by nature those people will be shoved out of our country. But not the way that I'm going to be moved beyond my country. This is important, okay? So I will remain an American in other countries because I have grown beyond this. There are people who will be kicked out of the country, right? There are people who should not be here. They will be pushed out or lose their life or whatnot. Because yes, it's a free country, it's an accepting country, but we're all human. And when you have someone who's inhumane, they're going to find their way off the planet regardless. It's just human nature. It's natural selection. And a big part of the American ecosystem is based around natural selection. It's competition, basic competition. So I'm learning to be quiet, and it might not seem like it, but I am. I just have different things to say now. I have different things to say. Things that don't cost me my life or my freedoms. And that's maturity. And that's you guys kind of gave that to me, but no offense, I did most of the work. I'll give the credit to people who it's due, but it did take a village to raise me, but I didn't get a good village. And I did do most of the work. People don't want to hear that. It's just how it is. I pretty much raised myself, but I'm not going to take all the credit. I'll be transparent. I'm not going to say I did it on my own, nor am I going to say that I didn't do it on my own. I'm going to say we did it together. I did most of the work. It's my life. And you watched. So don't sit back thinking you're going to get some sort of platform out of this. Like God's just going to come down and give you something for free. You did the least amount of effort for yourself. Your platform is going to be based around me, or you're going to have to find a way to make the platform about you. Otherwise, your platform will be about me. You'll be miserable, and you'll make a minimal paycheck on my name and become like me. But in a way that you don't even like, and then it's going to expose that you're a fraud, and you're going to go to jail. So your best bet is to lay off of me and start your own platform, but for real this time around. Accept your adulthood, accept you're not 25 anymore. I'm only 25 right now, and I'm not going to be later. And I accept that. I accept that when I'm 50, my brain's going to work different than it does right now. So I'm going to enjoy my 25. I'm not going to give it to the adults, but I'll give you guys a little tidbit in hopes that it helps you have more of a desire to connect with the younger audience. Your kids, the ones that matter more to you than me. I have a role here. If you give it to me, I can be a good canary. Ask Kate, I'm a great canary. Ask Kate, I am great at letting you know when there's gas in the pipes. Gas coming out of the pipes. Hope all is well. It is Murray. How are you? Did you hear Nell got demonetized for selling merch and promoting it on Instagram? What? I knew it, guys. Oh my gosh. You're either doing this on purpose or on accident. Remember, guys, the time when I said that it's not good to cross-platform promote? I should be trusting myself a little bit more, shouldn't I? Yeah, I'd say that's a good idea. I'm also not going to bask in my own glory and end up in my 40s and still doing the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want more. That's why. You should be happy with what you have. I'm happy with what I have. I want more. That's okay to want more. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. It's just about becoming educated on how to get more the right way. That's the hard part. And you don't have to put in that work. You can sit back and watch me, enjoy the show, enjoy your life, and we have different lives. Just understand it doesn't make me better. It doesn't make me, I don't think I'm better than you. I know that I'm going to have a different life. And because I'll never have the life you have, I can't actually know. Even if, yes, I have numbers. Okay, yes, I'm a statistician with this. By numbers, it does say that I'm going to have a better life than you. That's why I talk so much, because I feel guilty for knowing that. The reality is that I'm not you. So no amount of data that I have makes my soul the same as yours. So that means your life is going to be different, and you're going to experience it differently. You're going to get different enjoyment out of it. You have a different personality, a different body. All of that comes into play. So at the end of the day, unless I sat with you and analyzed every part of your brain with meters and all, and mine, that really is the only way to know. Some people might say I'm trying too hard or taking it too far, but I'm not. I'm taking it just far enough. Taking it too far is saying that I know that I'm better than you or that I'm not. That's too far. It's not reality. I'm listening because I'd like to understand more about that side of things. I just want kids to learn more about valuing the lives of... Oh my... Thank you for this! You're giving me a purpose right now. I hope you realize that. You're giving me purpose, and I appreciate that. I just want kids to learn. That's what I'm seeking. We all seek purpose. I just... Like, I want there to be a reason for me to be on here. I wasn't leaving because people were kicking me off. I was leaving because I didn't feel purpose. I was like... I mean, if people really don't want my help, then what do I do? But I don't think that's it. I think people just wanted certain things from me. And I guess I was looking too hard. You know, I wanted to bring you something you didn't want. And I don't know if you want this, but we have one person that wants it. So there's a start. I just want kids to learn more about valuing the lives of others, about loving themselves and others. Loving themselves and others. Okay. Kids of this generation, the one below me, and this is something I learned from Kate, is that generation, they are presented with a lot more temptations than you know. So like these things aren't, like the technology and all that, you don't consider those temptations near as much as they do. You see them as tools. It makes sense. It's just a tool. Now it's a little more than just a tool. To those of you who may be of the bracket of 25 to 45 or above, it is a little bit more than a tool. It's important to understand, okay? There is psychology behind it, and I'm not going to bore you with it. You want the simples, keep it simple. And it doesn't make you stupid. You understand different things, okay? I do understand those things too. I was raised by baby boomers, guys, and I had like a crap ton of like adult mentors. I do understand your generation. I do. I'm not as old as you, but in some ways I know even more about your generation than you do. So please listen, because I did the research. I wasn't there. I don't have your experience. So take my words for whatever they're worth to you and take them home to your kids if you want. If not, then leave, because you're not going to tell me to shut up anymore. You could just leave. Or I'll exit you from my building, because when someone's being a terrible customer in a store, you should probably call the cops, right? Like I should just block somebody. It's common sense. You don't let somebody. As I remember when I made the analogy about somebody coming into the store with a mask on, and they're like pointing a gun at you, and or they have a mask on, and you're yelling at a random stranger. I gave that analogy not realizing, wait a second, I'm letting those people be in my store. Like, what am I doing? So, yeah, no more of that. Cops have a place. Bye-bye, you know, or really just managing my own store. Either way, kick you out. Got my own security team too. I can do that. So for kids to value themselves and others. I'm telling you, I know it's hard to hear, but the feminine perspective, it works. I'm a man, and I'm a lot more manly than I thought I was, and I definitely have used my feminine side as a defense sometimes. As I flip that and use it in a healthy way, okay. Guys have 2 chromosomes. Women have 1. Science. It's just science. It's just science. Simple science. We can be feminine successfully. We cannot be female. We can be feminine. Women cannot be masculine. They can portray, or they can mimic masculinity. But by nature, if a woman has a higher T level, a higher level of testosterone, that is a condition and a problem. Like by nature. You go to the doctor, you can have issues having a baby because you have high T. That's just nature. It doesn't have to do with religion. It's just high T. If a man has high testosterone, they're a man. That's not a lack of equality. It's nature. Where a lack of equality comes in is saying that a woman who has high T and can lift more than a man would be cut out of the job that requires lifting. Picking a man over a woman because a man can lift more. He doesn't. If the woman lifts more, that woman deserves the job. Please think about that. Healthy for her or not healthy for her, she is more equipped for the job because she's doing it. Even if it's not healthy for her, that's not for the employer to evaluate. That's a doctor's job. And if she's not going to the doctor, that's not on the employee. As long as it doesn't affect her work performance or who she is, that is a social equality. And for a man to care about a woman, I get that. I get the traditional values. We got to think about this. You got to think about this in means of the country. America is a company, not just a country. It's a business. So you need to have a business mindset with a country that's a business. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Me personally, to me, it is wrong. Like wrong is all hell. It's an opinion. Maturity is to say, my boss says do your job. So, immoral or not, it's my job. Like as an American, it is my job to say the woman gets the job and the man doesn't if the woman does the job better than the man. Even if it's unhealthy for the woman based on her T levels. That it would be healthier for her to do something less strenuous, to lower her T levels. That her estrogen can properly flow and she can have a healthy child. I don't make those choices. It's not my pay grade. You know, it's above my pay grade. It's just how it is. So you want them to value others and themselves. Oh boy, is this a hard one. How much do we value ourselves? How much do we value ourselves? That's a hard one. And then on top of that, on top of how much do we value ourselves, is when you look at somebody else, how much do you value them? Do you teach your kids that another person may be a threat? Do you teach them that they may be a friend? Do you teach them they should be cautious? What do you teach them? That should tell you more about who you are. If you're teaching your kids that they should be afraid of a stranger, it's because you're afraid of a stranger. If you're living a regular life, why are you afraid of a stranger? You're afraid of the unknown. And that, in my opinion, is an irresponsible fear. If you see the same people at church every Sunday, and whether you go to church or not, right? Okay, so you go to work and you see the same people at work every week. Or you see the same people walking down the street. What are you so afraid of? Like if you're used to them, you know them, are they a threat to your life? I don't know. I know the ones that I see are not a threat to my life, so I'm not afraid. And most of the people I see on a daily basis, they're strangers. I'm not afraid though. I'm afraid of a few here and there, but it's only when I can tell, like, they got a few screws. You know, when that look gets in their eye, I get a little nervous. But realistically, I see that there's not a lot of people out there that are much of a threat to me. So at least not ones that would step into my atmosphere. Okay, and anyone that's professionally trained, for the most part, they're not going to step into my atmosphere because I'm not someone that would be considered a threat to them. There you go. Think about that. I'm not somebody that would be considered a threat to them. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. So that's the fear part. Now, being sloppy would be to say, hey, let this stranger pick you up and put them in your van. And there are parents, I know that's hard to believe, but there are parents out there like that. It goes both ways. The reality is, and this is the reality, okay, is this middle ground, this grounding. It should ground you. Sometimes we need to be grounded. There's another thing. We say we need to be grounded. Well, what is being grounded? It means that when the lightning strikes, it doesn't hit you. The lightning gets grounded. You got that thing on the top of the house. That's grounding. Grounding is not forcing someone to sit on the floor or kneel on rice or sit in a corner. That's not discipline. That's not grounding. That's punishment. Punishment only grounds us or disciplines us if we receive it that way. And that's based on the kid's personality. So if that child receives what you're doing as abuse, it's abuse. You don't have to like that. Suck it up. You're the parent. Suck it up. It's science. It's science, right? It's just how it is. I don't like it. You don't like it. Guys, I am darn good at whatever punishment. I'm pretty darn good at getting my way the way that my family got their way. I don't do it because it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for the people in my life. My personal opinion is that it doesn't work for anybody. That's my personal opinion based on the evidence that I have, but I'm young. I mean, technically, it worked on me, but it didn't really, because it didn't reach that level. It didn't. Like, it got pretty bad psychologically with what people did to me, but it didn't reach the point where someone was punching me in the face or putting me in a corner. They tried. It doesn't work. That's not real discipline. It doesn't work. You can, and I had a situation at work where someone had tried to isolate me and whatnot. And I don't think they expected me to know what they were doing. I don't think they even knew what they were doing near as much, but it was a very good person who wanted to learn that. And it shifted the entire conversation, right? And so what I'm trying to do with you guys is shift the conversation and show you that I care. And I know I see 28 comments. I know how much you want to be heard. Are you willing to accept and admit to yourself that maybe you need to hear what I have to say more than you need to be heard, calling it being the disciplinarian or the adult or the one who's demanding respect? I'm not listening to you. Maybe your kid's crying for mom and you don't hear it. And you just shake the baby because you want it to shut up. And then it ends up in foster care. I know a thing or two about this stuff, guys. I recommend you listen. I do. I'm pretty good with recommendations. You want organic food? I'll tell you which brands to go to. You want to raise your kids? I'll tell you what to do with that. You want to know how to listen better? I could show you that. There's a lot I could show you guys. Nobody wants any of it because I have all of it. They're like, no, we don't want what you have because you don't need anything from us. I do. Acceptance. You know that's a thing. But I'm not going to lower my standards to receive acceptance. I'm not going to do it. The day doesn't come where I change who I am and lessen my capabilities just so that I can fit in. If you need me to lose who I am for you to get what you want, you're not going to get what you want anyway. Because what you want is change. But you're asking me to change for you. Like, change who I am. Change the good parts about me. And say that's going to make you a better person. No, you're silencing a conscience. It's just silencing a conscience. And I can say all of this knowing it's what you're thinking without scrolling down at all. Because it's that predictable. It is that predictable. And if you're not thinking that, you're probably in my broadcast and not watching this from somebody else's broadcast. Ironically, most of the people that are learning from you right now, guys, if you're in this broadcast, are the people who are passive-aggressively silent and narcissistic sitting somewhere else who know they want this advice and they're learning from me, but they're too proud and narcissistic to accept that they want to learn what I have to teach them. So they'll watch from somewhere else and give someone who is unhealthy and crazy views and attention and money, while I offer them all the advice. They take the advice and leave me here poor. So the government they complain about, they're doing the exact same thing that the people they don't like are doing to them. They're doing to me. And then saying, what? You know, like, when does that cycle end? When do we wake up to the obvious facts here? Because that's an obvious fact, is I'm giving great, great advice. And I'm being gerrymandered. You see how those views are going 1928, 1928, 1928? That's not a glitch. There's another broadcast about there. You're losing your mind. Every little comment you see, I'm going to teach you about psychology. Every little comment you see, it affects your psychology. It's affecting the way you think, feel, act. I understand all that. And you know I do. And I'm not using it against you, and I'm not using it for me. It's convenient that I'm right. It's convenient that I get the paycheck.
I earned it. And you're giving it to them. You're giving terrible people my viewership and money while I give you value. And somehow you're the good parent. I'm calling you out. I'm not attacking you. And if you take that as an attack and disrespect, that is narcissism. And your system's a little messed up there. And it needs a little work. And if you're open to admitting it, we can work together to find a solution, like a parent would say. But I'm not saying it to you as a kid. I'm saying it to you as a friend. A human, regular human friend who is not afraid of you anymore. Because I learned how to handle that. And I know what to do. And I do care that much about you. You are not finding this anywhere else on Periscope, Twitter, or anywhere else, and it doesn't make me crazy. It makes me normal. I don't want to hype it up. Yeah, I do. That would feel good. But thanks to you, I'm not. So this symbiotic process is pretty healthy for everybody. It's pretty healthy for everybody. I think we finally found an equilibrium here. At least that's my belief. It's been a while. I just have like to welcome on. I'm middle-aged, but I want to understand all sides, like to see good communication is helpful. Yeah, it's good. And it's hard to preach good communication and have it. Because communication and conversation, it's a back and forth. And that back and forth can be so difficult because in my mind, I'm thinking about everybody. Everybody doesn't mean everybody on the planet, but everybody in my atmosphere. I'm thinking about them. And my perception of them, it is based on my own research. It's not based on something other people are trying to build for me. I look in the dirty places. I look where it's gross. And I say, oh, that's there. Okay. And that's how I decide whether, how I'm going to move forward with it. So I'm trying to keep it two-sided. But there's a lot of people that aren't that interested in listening. When it really comes down to the time when they have to listen, it becomes a they and an us. And I don't want a they and an us. I'm not creating a they and an us. That's also important to recognize. I'm being given credit for a they and an us created by a culture and an ecosystem, not by me. It is the ideas that you live and you embody that is bringing you around those kinds of people. So I'm making better choices. Other people have made choices based on my choices and then blame me for those choices. Okay, for example, good, healthy people that decided to pick up the phone when scary pedophiles call. Or log onto the internet and watch my content when they say that the internet is the devil. Me being on the internet doesn't make me the devil. If the internet's the devil, the internet's the devil. Did it now change now? Now I'm the devil and the internet's not? That's convenient. That was just your way of finding your way into negative spaces and then making excuses for it. We are responsible for our own choices. This isn't a socialistic economy. This is still capitalism. I got normal people. I got some normal people back home that I can pick up the phone and I still hear their human voice. I still hear a normal person who hasn't lost their mind by getting trapped in the abyss somewhere on the internet. There are people who chose to continue to use the tool as a tool and get the gossip from their friends if that's just how it goes. And that's sanity. That's normalcy. That's using the tool as a tool. And I think it's important to do that, to use that tool as a tool. But if you're using it just for that emotional rise, which you see me succumbing to it, but I didn't put myself there, guys. I didn't know it was happening. And now that I do, now that I see that feeling too good can be bad for me, I'm balancing out. People said, well, you have bipolar, you're ill. No, I was uneducated. I didn't need better health care. I needed education, and I was cut off from it because I would not conform to a worse version of my health. I refused to adapt to an unhealthy culture that cut me out of the culture, which cut me out of information, which cut me out of health, which then created a need for that healthcare. And it started with a lower standard of education, which started before the education. Just bad parenting before what I was raised on. Those ones did their best. No offense, but those ones did their best. And I mean, there's issues. But what I was born into, that's where it really starts. That's where it really starts. So where is this about Donald Trump? Did he have good parenting? I'll let you decide. I'll let you decide. I'm not letting you decide. I'm being dramatic. I mean, the reality, you're right. You decide either way, but my point should stand. I'm not going to end up making those kind of mistakes because I'm making sure to make proactive decisions in a healthier direction. That's why you don't have to be so worried. I appreciate the concern, but it's a lot more worry than concern. And it's also worry based on choices you've made in my direction with more influence in my life than you should have had. You bought influence in my life, did poorly with it, and then backed out and said, I'm going to be responsible and you're going to walk away. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care if you still have your parents or if you get to live in a better country. It makes me sad. It just makes me sad because I am a normal person and you can be too. Accepting that you're not is kind of where it starts. But telling yourself beating yourself up doesn't do much for you. That's what men like to do. Now this is based on the average standard. Men love to beat themselves up when they do something wrong. Women do that too. They do. But I've witnessed, this is my personal experience, okay? So we'll leave it there because I don't have the statistics. I can't be the sociopathic nerd for you in this moment. I'm going to be a human being. My experience has been that most men, beat themselves up when they make a mistake, whereas women blame the man. And I don't think it's necessarily blame. I think it's recognition that a man made a promise and he didn't keep it. But, the woman, you have to recognize as a woman, and I will speak as a man from a man's perspective, and women, you can take it however you take it. But from a man's perspective, if you're going to make a promise, you don't get to break it just because you're a woman. And if we make a promise together, if I'm keeping my side of it and you don't, that does make it your fault, It just does. It doesn't matter who else is involved. It's just an excuse. You made a choice. And too late exists. And, here's a very important piece that I do understand. You want to know whether or not I understand? Google me. I understand that too late exists. Okay? I do know that too late exists. Just Google my name if you think I don't. I do. You can't buy me with gift cards. You can't win me over. Like sometimes people in life have to realize that stalking is stalking. Guys, don't stalk me. Recognize when enough is enough and you try to let me know you exist. How many people out there who continue to try to let me know that they exist? Like I know you exist. I care about you, but I'm not going to care for you. I can't. Some other version of me can. I, as me, actually can't. As in can't, not as in won't. Can't. Because the version of me that you knew wasn't fully me. It was less of me. This me says no to boundary breaking psychopaths and other people who refuse to believe that they have an illness. We can get sick. Not all of us, some of us aren't born sick. Some of you can become sick. The internet can help with that, but you don't blame the internet, put the phone down, expect it to go away. If you don't understand psychology, all you did was stop getting worse. You didn't get better. Or shut me out. It doesn't make you better. You got to go to the doctor now. And you can afford. Here's what you won't really know what grinds my gears. There are people out there who can afford real healthcare. People that can afford real doctors. And over pride, they don't get them. They just hit my DMs and give me crap. It's amazing. Like, you have no idea what I would do with the amount of money you have. I don't think I have any idea what I would do. I'm praying that I wouldn't do the same thing you're doing. That's all I have to say. I'd like to believe I'd be more responsible with my cash. And, I don't think I'm going to be a better parent at this point, which is part of why I'm fighting to help you guys show me a little better. But that capital punishment attitude, it just doesn't work. I mean, look at me, how defiant I am, and how much I just tell you to screw off. Guys, it comes from that. I'm a fighter by nature. I'm a lover and a fighter, but I love by fighting sometimes. And I think a lot of you are like that. But when you're fighting you're not fighting with me, you're fighting me, right? You're talking to me, or you're talking at me, not to me. And I know you're silent right now, but I learned from Kate. Silence speaks. It speaks. All right. I think all souls are equal. I assume that too. That is part of my belief system. Absolutely. Sound is muffled. Thank you, Gary. Your title mentioned Trump. Did I miss that talk? No, we can get right back to Trump. We can do that. It's your turn. I'm tired. I'm letting you know that I'm tired. And if you want me to stay on, you guys are going to have to do the work for me. And if you don't like that, then my other option is to shut off, because otherwise I'll just keep talking about myself because I'm tired. And it's easy to talk about myself, just like for anybody. When you're tired, it's easy to talk about yourself. It's hard to stay on track at this point. I'm tired. And that's not an excuse. I'm tapped out. Maybe I could do 2 hours tomorrow. 3 hours tomorrow. But for today, I think we can all agree I'm definitely tapped out. But it's not me quitting. It's me saying this is social media, and if we want to have a hangout session, we want to have the after party. We could have an after party after the party. We had a good conversation, and now I'm tired. So if you guys want to come chill at my place, we can come chill. We can all go chill. But you got to chill. We're chilling at my place. I'm not coming to chill at Maggie's. You can come chill at my place. So you want to chill? You want to talk? Let's talk. But if you come back to my place and you're insulting me, I'm just going to kick you out of my house, But I love to throw parties. So if you want to hang out, let's hang out. Yeah, kids are exposed to so much today, much more than when I was a kid. Honestly, you taught me that. Oh, did I really? Do you see how much I was? Oh my gosh. To sit here and think, I wish I could tell you in gold. I'd get like a pile of gold, like 12 gold bricks, just to put in front of you and say, this is how much I've changed. Why would I use money? Because most people talk money. That's why I talk money. Guys, the littlest people talk money. So if you talk money, everybody hears you. That's my goal. I want everybody to hear me. If I use money, everybody hears it. Because everybody talks money. Anybody who says they don't talk money, they're lying through their teeth. They're sitting up in their mansion saying they don't talk money. Everybody talks money. And if you ever have somebody who says they don't talk money, that's usually a person who had it handed to them. So I don't live on money, but I do talk money. But money is not my only language, right? And it's not my first language either. But I do understand it. So I talk it because it's a language everyone can understand. And I want to get to as many people as I can. Communication and understanding is happening by this talk. I hope so. I really hope so. I can only hope so because I don't know. It's humble to say I don't know. I'm not assuming that you're bad. If you have that mindset, that's your mindset. If you assume it's good, then you have that mindset. I stay in the middle. That way you can make up your own mind. I don't want to influence you, and I don't want the chance of influencing you more than I could. I had horrible parenting. I'm not a parent, so wait, are you talking to specific people? Well, Trump has the best health care for sure. Does he? Loco Larry, welcome on. It would sound like I'm talking to specific people. I mean, technically I am. What has happened is that I'm tired, and so I'm taking the majority perspective to make it easier on me. And that's not necessarily fair to you. So think of it, I'll put in a shift at work. I'm learning to appreciate my breaks, and I'm learning to appreciate, hey, you got a 6-hour shift today, not an 8-hour shift. I'm also learning to accept, hey, you have the next day off, or you have the next 2 days off. Like, you don't work every 7 days a week. So I'm learning to appreciate, hey, this is my speed. This is where I'm at. I thought it was different. I was pumped up on fear and caffeine. So this is a normal human pace. And I'm learning to keep it and say, I'm coming to a point where I'm saying things and not thinking them through. And I'd say for maybe the past half hour, I'd probably look back and not even remember what I said. So I'm tired. And it's time for me to go home. It's time for me to leave work and go home. So I hope you guys appreciated my time. I am sorry if, because I overworked myself, that I made poor choices with you and hurt your feelings. Or I ignored some of you, right, to give more attention to people that maybe I should fire. Or I should realize I've already fired and I'm talking to them on my doorstep. Like, I should just call the cops. And I'm making more sense of how things work. Thank you to everyone who came in. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Because I'm going to enjoy my life. Because this is not a break. It's my life. This is the life. This is life. This is a job. This is life. I'm not going on break. I put in my shift. And this is a very hard job. And I get paid nothing for it. And I'm a little too proud of the job that I get paid nothing for. So, I should probably figure that one out. I'll get it figured one day. I'll get it figured out day by day. Good talk. Take care. Thanks, you too. See you later.